guys, welcome to Clevelandmoto Podcast number 386.
Whoop, whoop.
Light them up, and they're lit. That nice bong rip there, Steve.
Thank you.
Very, very cool. It is just, we're just in that power point of August, that point of August where you're like, we've had ridiculously good weather while the rest of the planet has been either in a deadly drought or literally underwater. Our friends in Dallas, our people in Middle East are all being flooded and changing their entire worlds. And yet we don't want to say much because I've been riding to work every day for 2 weeks in a row.
It's been cold though in the morning, like a little bit, like not in a bad way.
All right. I think it's wonderful.
Well, it's 7 a.m. Yeah, but it's 7 a.m. It's like I would think I left at 48 degrees or 50
I
degrees.
love any excuse to wear my gear.
Yeah.
Right. So I own tons of motorcycle gear.
Yeah.
And so if I have an excuse to put on all my motorcycle gear, because what happens up until this point is Johnny no helmet.
Yeah.
You know, my safety flip-flops, right? My DOT Crocs. Like all that stuff comes out and you're like, you drive to work and you're like, man, I don't want anybody to see me driving to work like this because my customers would be like, you tried to sell me a helmet.
Yeah.
I just got done listening to you tell me how important helmets were. And yet I'm rocking around, en flagrante. So to my immediate left.
Oscar.
And to his immediate left.
Steve Sleepy.
And to his.
Chris Smith.
And to his.
Johnny Mac.
Johnny Milk Fresh. So one of the things I wanted to talk about was while we took a week off, and we'll get into a little bit about why we took a week off, but while we took a week off, I decided to go back to the vaults, and it's always fun to grab an episode out of the vaults and pull them up. And so the episode that we brought forward was episode number 17. Now, this is a fun one to listen to. You go back and if you're listening to this one right now, if you missed that one, go back and listen to it. I dropped it the other day. But the reason it's significant is it's from March 16th, or the Ides of St. Paddy's Day, or the St. Paddy's Day Eve. Mm-hmm. St. Paddy's Day Eve is the right way to put it.
Yeah.
And Renee and I had just gotten back from the Piaggio Dealer Expo in California. Right? And back in the old days, they used to really throw down. Like they would get a hall and they would bring in entertainment and Kenny Chesney and whoever the fuck, it was a big deal. And Jay Leno was there and they really, really brought out, and their idea was, we give you your wine and we give you your cheese and we have a ceremony to talk about how great this dealer is or that dealer is. And we bring out all the new bikes. But then at some point after all the wine and the cheese, then we set you down and go, now let's talk about your numbers.
Yeah. How many you want?
And you go, yeah, I knew this was coming. And you have your meeting with your rep, and your rep goes, well, you did a pretty good job last year. But we think you can do better. And you're like, oh boy. And so last year you took 160 bikes. That's really good. And you got us this much market share in your area. And you're like, don't tell me about market share.
Right.
That's a number your marketing assholes have come up with. That's not a real number. And then they tell you, okay, you did 160 last year, but we want you to do 190 this year.
I had 100% of the market share of Vespa scooters in my area.
Well, I always do. Right. And in fact, it's really funny because sometimes they'll say things like, well, Clevelandmoto had 160% of the market share. And we're
really?
like, yeah, because we sell outside of Cleveland too.
Okay.
Right? So it's a very funny thing that
100% of Cleveland
and then around us too.
That's a lot of penetration.
We get serious penetration around here.
Clevelandmoto works 60% of the time, 100%.
100% of the time. And so it's always really funny. And so when a lot of dealers would be stressing out about having their meeting and how many bikes that they were being told to order, we would generally be having a good time, just laying into the free nachos and free steaks and whatever, real super hard, and be like, can we get a mariachi band over here? We need a mariachi band over here by the lazy river. Yeah. And we'd have too much fun because we always kind of knew that no matter what Vespa would tell us to order, or Aprilia would tell us to order, or Moto Guzzi would tell us to order, very rarely could they actually get us the number that we requested.
Isn't this where the term "go fuck your hat"?
It was one of the very beginning ones. Yeah, it was one of the actual first times where I had to trot that phrase out.
So would they have you down for more than you really want?
Well, it's always this battle. So it's always this battle. And imagine if we said, for the sake of interest, that your business this year did 25% better than the business did last year. Well, we would all be very happy with that. I would think that's a really good business. Yeah. And then if you look back and you said, well, the year before that, we did 25% better. You're like, oh, fuck, whoa, 2 years, 25% each year? Jesus Christ. Now, only an asshole would say that next year we expect you to do 25% better.
Or a distributor.
Let me introduce you to the assholes, right? So they would do that every year, and it would be like, well, you guys who are telling me that I should have grown my business 75% in 3 years. You didn't grow your business 75% in 3 years. In fact, you lost 15%.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about my numbers and my market share, let me pull up your numbers and your market share. And let me show you how my company's done 25% better in our city, but you've lost 5% for your shareholders.
You're like, check yourself, buddy.
Yeah.
So you're carrying their water.
And that's exactly what it is. And so for every dealer that underperforms, we're overperforming. And that's a normal thing. But what happens in these things is they go, okay, well, we're going to ask our best dealers for 25% more and really put the screws to them.
Hoping to get
And then
8.
and then these other guys, they can all lose 5% or 10%. It's no big deal. But we've always been very happy with what we've done. And we've always been also, there was a year when we didn't feel like we were being treated very well. And so that when we went to the dealer meeting, we fucking dressed up. And this is a dealer meeting where people wear shorts and t-shirts the entire time. We didn't. Sport coats, nice pants, good shoes, the whole thing the entire time. And people are like, well, you've been to these before. Why are you dressed that way? You know, we're at the Hyatt Regency, you know,
Talk to my attorney.
right. You know, here we are in San Antonio, you know, the back country, Riverwalk. Yeah, exactly. So here we are at this place, but why are you guys dressed up so nice? And I was like, well, because we did 1.3 million with this company last year and we'd like to remind them about that. We want to look like $1 million because we are literally $1 million. And that's what we would do. And so we would remind them about the quantity of their business that happened in this bullshit town called Cleveland, right? And so we've always really overperformed for our district, for our area. And that's tough. You know, that's been it's hard work on our part, but we love it. But why I thought this particular podcast was fun, because we were right on the heels of coming back from the meeting. And we had gotten to see some shit. I mean, we really had gotten to see some fun stuff at the dealer meeting, and some stuff that really never manifested itself or conjured itself into the universe. And one of the ones that I really love, looking back in the Wayback Machine and saying, this is the one that we should have gotten. And then there's the one we shouldn't have gotten. So the one that we should have gotten was the Aprilia SRV 850. And that is an 850cc motor out of the Mana V-twin, liquid cooled fucking V-twin 850. A whole lot of horsepower in the form of a scooter, and not an ugly scooter, a pretty fucking cool looking scooter by all, you know.
Biggest, comfiest seat you could ever ask for.
It really is the biggest, comfiest seat you could ever ask for. And even when they don't film it at Dutch angles, it still looks pretty goddamn good, right? You know, so it is kind of a fun thing, right? So we're looking at this and going like, yeah, this is cool, you know. And so that was one of the things that they tempted us with, right? And they tempted us with that bike. They really were laying it into us about how we were going to get that bike for the American market. And I have to tell you, friends, that in 2012, that would have made me a very fucking happy boy. I mean, to have an 850cc powerhouse, 150 mile per hour scooter would have been pretty cool. We didn't get that. That's not what we got. Nope, we didn't get that. But in the podcast, I went on record pretty loud about saying, but what they did show us was an artist's, like a clay and fiberglass mock-up of a Vespa scooter that, although Art Deco sexy, right? And it is Art Deco sexy. An Art Deco sexy scooter. But I was like, my friends from San Diego and I, Robot, Bailey, we all were wandering around at 2 or 3 in the morning, which is what we do at the hotel, at the resort. And, you know, when you're wandering around at 2 or 3 in the morning, what you're kind of doing is you're pulling doors to see what opens, right? You're literally just pulling on doors to see what the fuck opens. And while we were pulling on doors to see what opens, the one door that opened was for the grand ballroom where they were having the unveiling of the super secret product for 2013. And sitting up on the dais, sitting up on the stage, was this chrome Airstream silver looking bastard, right? And when we saw that thing, we were gobsmacked because one, it looks like it's made out of like stainless steel. The whole bike looked like it was made of stainless steel because of that silver, that silver color. And we were just blown away. I mean, we were convinced this bike was never going to get made. No fucking way. The curves were too complicated. Everything was weird. And we were looking at it and we figured out that it had a 150cc motor in it, but there's no underseat storage area. There's never been anything more Art Deco.
Cantilever seat.
Everything. Yeah, seriously.
It was too outside of their usual structure and frame.
It was.
Shape and everything, yeah.
And it was to the point of being ridiculous. It was just
like
ridiculous.
A concept scooter.
Yeah, it was really just a concept scooter. But we thought, there's no way we're going to have this. And in fact, Bailey Robot and I went and we committed the cardinal sin. We went and sat on it. And that was when we discovered that it wasn't actually a load-bearing device. It was just an artist's sculpture. And we may have, and if you look at this picture, you'll see that it is very clearly on a pedestal. And that beautiful silver finish and everything else.
That's why they kept the doors locked.
Yeah. Well, when we sat on it, it made a fucking noise that I can best describe as expensive. And so we decided very sheepishly to get off the bike, but not before we took one picture to be like, we were here.
Yeah, right.
So we took the picture that proved that we were breaking the rules. And this is the bike that I said they would never build, and they fucking built it. And not only did they build it, but that 150cc scooter that was called the 946, after it's a historical number, for old Vespas. Not only did they build it, but when every other Vespa that's 150 cc's was $5,000, this one was $10,000. It had all of the weight of a 300 and all the power of a 150. I don't know why it didn't sell more. But to show you how dumb I am and to show you how off target I was back in year of our Lord 2012, not only did they build it, they're still building it. Wow. But the only way you can get this thing is by buying the Christian Dior. And that is literally the only way to buy that bike is to buy the Christian Dior Vespa 946. And that Christian Dior Vespa 946 will set you back in American dollars.
Drum roll, please.
Drum roll, please. $22,000. And you can only buy the accessories at the Christian Dior dealers, at the Christian Dior boutiques. That's awful. And we have sold 0 of them. Thank goodness they didn't make me carry one and have one here.
So you never had one here?
We've never had one here.
I remember seeing it in the San Diego shop because it was before I moved.
Yep.
I remember seeing that down there when they first came out.
And if any of you are baller out there in podcast land,
John, I was just talking to John Saturday about I had $23,000 laying around I had nothing to do with. Oh man, I might have.
We guarantee that if you buy this for $23,000,
tell us more.
It will be worth significantly less.
Ain't that the truth?
So will they ever appreciate? I mean, is it so expensive?
The bike was launched in 2021. It's 2022 and they still have many left over. Okay. It is tasteless. I mean, let's just call it what it is. It's a tasteless scooter. It has gold trim and Christian Dior logos and golden mirrors. And it's just a fucking piece of shit.
How's it compare to the Justin Bieber?
Oh, yeah.
I was just going to bring that up.
That's,
it's a bougie fucking
It's a bougie
scooter.
bike, right? Yeah. And it really is, Vespa has always done these designer one-offs, right? So they've always done these designer one-offs, and they're usually astronomically expensive, but the Christian Dior is taking it. And this is a bike that by all rights, when this bike existed in 2020, in its own without the word Christian Dior on it.
Right.
You couldn't order it. It was done. They were done doing it. They'd realized, tail between their legs, nobody's buying this bike at $10,000 for a 150cc bike. Yeah. And then Christian Dior, they comes along and goes, okay, well, if you can't sell 10 of them for 10,000, you sell 20 of them for 20,000. Well, but that would be logical.
Anything with our name on it.
I think they got to rebrand it and slap like a Doja Cat or Dua Lipa's or whatever her name is.
Well, for those who are curious, there's one market where this is doing very well. And I watch these Thailand Vespa videos. And in some of these Thailand Vespa rally videos, they get together and ride their Vespas. I have seen no less than 3 of these show up at one event.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Really?
It's crazy. But you mentioned our friends in San Diego.
Yeah.
So within a day of this bike being launched, right? San Diego's different. There are people in San Diego to whom $22,000 is nothing but a rounding error, right? Yeah. And so right off the tick, this guy came in and said, oh, wow, Christian Dior, 22 grand a piece, I'll take 2. And so our friends in San Diego was like, holy shit, that just happened. Now, here's the funny thing. You know that if you were selling a pizza or you're selling a hat, the manufacturer says how much margin you're going to make on the pizza or on the hat, right? Yeah. So on this Vespa, in every Vespa, we're looking at any Vespa in the world, you're looking at about a 14% profit margin. Mm-hmm. Fair enough. So when you're selling a $22,000 scooter, you, the dealer, should be making about $3,000 if your margin holds true. Sure. Not on this one, folks. I'm sorry, but the dealer on this one doesn't make 14% margin. The dealer on this makes a flat rate of $1,200.
What?
So not only are you have to carry this motherfucker on your floor plan for $22,000, when you do sell it, you're going to get a third of the margin you're supposed to get, or a portion of the margin that you're supposed to get. Well, that's just dumb. Well, our friends who sold 2 of them right quick in a hurry were like, well, that was fantastic. We should order like 6 more.
Oh, no.
Sure.
I don't think they ordered.
It's easy to get lucky 3 times in a row.
I don't think they ordered 6 more, but I do know they ordered more. And I do know that they will regret that decision. Yeah. So it is a tough thing because you do get that, right out of the cannon. And that was the joke, is like, that didn't happen with the Bieber.
Right. No.
So let's wander down the rabbit hole of today's activity. So today we had this gentleman show up at our shop who's of a certain nature. He wears that red hat with a clever saying on it. And so he shows up in our shop and he has red hat with a clever saying on it. And he hasn't bought anything from our store in ever. And but he likes to come in and look at the pretty Vespas and that kind of thing. And he's been around and people know him and stuff, right? So
don't tell me those communist scooters. I don't like those scooters.
Way worse than that. So we're gonna this is. So again, he comes in and he's that 70-year-old white male.
Oh yeah,
carrying an extra 200 pounds, and got that red hat on with a funny saying.
Squishy glasses, like the sunglasses, or no?
I don't know. No. He basically looks like if a pig and a human crossbred. He's very pink in color. Yeah. So anywho, he comes in, and of all the bikes in here, and as we see, there's about 130 bikes around us. Of all the bikes in here, there was only one bike he was interested in.
Oh.
And we had clients in here. We had customers in here buying a bike who, by the way, did not overlook his red hat. Because, he wants to have conversations about that.
Oh,
hat,
sure.
Right? Yeah. And we're all not going to play into that.
Right.
So as he's going around the shop looking at things, giving unsolicited advice on things that my customers really don't need to hear from, and I just want him to leave because, he bought a Vespa in 2007 used from somebody else.
Oh, good.
Right. Yeah, that's it. Anyway.
Well, you should definitely always service him and make sure he's happy.
Super happy.
Yeah.
So anyway. So he walks up to the Justin Bieber Vespa.
Oh, no.
Which is white, 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 and white.
Oh, yeah.
And he goes, I got to say, I'm looking at all the bikes in here, and this is the only one I like.
Really?
I'm like, because it's the only one that comes with a fucking pointy hood.
Yeah.
Right? Are you shitting me? This is, if this bike were tuned and had a performance engine, you'd have to call it white power. You couldn't call it anything else. And it was what he was into. And I said, really, that's the one you like. And he goes, that's the one I like. And I go, that's your favorite of this entire room full of bikes. That's the one I like. You know what that is? What is that? That's the Justin Bieber. Well, what's Justin Bieber?
Baseball player.
Oh, should have sold the fucking thing. To
And
him, dude.
I was like, and he goes, well, how much is it? And I said, well, it's $1,200 more than the regular one. That isn't white, but you're getting all these accessories that have never existed in the Vespa world before. You're getting things on the bike that don't exist that are easily worth over $1,000 if you tried to one at a time parts order them. And then if you buy the bike, my dealer rep has sent me a list of all the black parts that you can replace the white parts with, so it will actually not look filthy all the time, right? And you know that's a great sign is when your manufacturer gives you a bike that is a special, custom, limited edition, one of only so many. And within 30 days of you getting that bike, they send you a parts list so you can unfuck the design of that bike and take away the white grips and the white floor rails.
I was about to say
and
that,
the white pegs.
That, like, I was looking at when you first got it.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, grips.
Yeah.
You wear gloves. That might be okay for a while.
Yeah.
The seat, I mean, even the red one stained, like that sucks, but
Yeah.
you can always get a cover for it.
It comes
But, like,
with it. Yeah,
you
it
can
comes
clean
with a
whatever.
wet cover. Yeah.
But the thing that really blew me away were the foot strips.
the floor rails.
Yeah, but
I'm like, how?
whoever buys that bike is the type of person who wears brand new sneakers.
Yep.
Or spotless all the
Yep.
time.
You're exactly right.
But if you put your foot down at a stoplight
then,
and put it back up, and you got gummer, they're screwed. It's
But you
fucked.
know
Throw
what?
those shoes away and buy new ones.
I think John's right. Sneakerheads are the type of people that will buy a sneaker that costs $112 retail. They'll pay $400 for it.
Yeah.
They'll put it on the shelf, and they'll only wear it when they put pieces of plastic in the side of it so the sides of the sneaker don't crease. They'll never lace the sneaker up all the way to tighten it that it fits their feet correctly, right?
Okay.
Because it'll cause creases in the side of the sneaker.
Probably put booties on to ride the scooter.
Right.
True.
So people that would buy a pair of shoes that they made 900,000 pairs of for the common folk, and then somehow aggrandize those shoes to the point of being on display, paying $1,000 for a $100 pair of shoes, and then wearing them incorrectly to make sure they don't, like, so the grain on the side of the fake leather doesn't crack. What the fuck, man? And so that's the right buyer. That's the customer who's going to buy the Bieber. So, and again, I have one because they made me.
We need to sell that to Whistling Diesel.
I think you're right.
You have him do the right.
I dare you to buy this.
Yeah. Be like, here, check out the Justin Bieber Vespa.
Can you buy, are you man enough to buy the unbuyable Vespa?
Well, that's what he's done. He's
Exactly.
gone and bought the $20,000 pair of sneakers.
Yeah. And
Right.
then
And
he-
then put them on the end of a backhoe.
Yeah.
And use them
Yeah.
to take a-
But surprisingly, though, I give him credit. Like even he was surprised. He like they didn't break, and then he washed them 57 times, and
Yeah.
they didn't break. Like they're actually a pretty good shoe
I
for
wonder.
what they were.
I wonder.
Or just a Nike shoe, you know.
Yeah, right. Sure.
The
Okay.
6-year-old that sewed it together
I want
did
to
a
see
hell of a
the
job.
Justin Bieber Vespa get the Whistling Diesel treatment.
Yeah, I think that would
Yeah.
be pretty good.
Yeah. And he could really play that into the ground too. I mean, just go. Just go. Because there's no point in that adventure with, that much horsepower. You've got Justin Bieber, you've got Vespa. It's dead white. It's daring you. I mean, that bike is daring you to molest it. And it really is. It's daring you to molest it. So, yeah. So that's a thing, right? I approve of all those things.
Have you ever seen the Strange Addiction show? You know, there's some Bieber fan somewhere that has bought one and then licks it like every day and has sex with the tailpipe and stuff like that.
You know, I hadn't really thought about that, but you make perfect sense.
Yeah.
And that really, that makes a whole lot of sense. Yeah, I dig that. So
Some Uber fan.
some Uber fan is the exact right term for it.
Zealot, if you will.
But in that story, kind of what's been going on in the shop, what's been going around the shop, we have lost a member of our team. James no longer works here. And we're not going to go into great detail about that. But what we are going to go into detail about is service departments. And it turns out it's like if you have like a lump on your back or like a dark spot on your forehead, and you just don't think anything of it, and you just go about your life and just rock on and be like, I have an immune system. It'll take care of itself. It turns out if you don't deal with something right away, it gets worse. It gets worse. So it turns out that if you're not paying attention, there will be things in the service department that you didn't even know were back there. Oh. And so as we kind of are going around doing an archaeological dig here, it's amazing the shit that we're finding. It's crazy. It's taking me to the point where I'm like, we should have a yard sale. Like, we should just have a yard sale. Because there are bikes back there that people have abandoned. Straight up abandoned. Totally 100% abandoned. We have got a really new Benelli TNT 302, not the 135, a 302.
I've seen that back there.
Sitting back there, that the customer blew the motor up, well, crashed the bike, damaged the engine cases because he crashed the bike. But the rest of the bike is in really good shape, but the engine cases are cracked. And the customer has just said, hey, I'm not doing anything with it. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
So the paint was still wet on your finance papers.
He's just paying on it, or he just stopped paying on it?
I don't know.
You don't know, yeah.
I don't know.
Because it doesn't concern you.
Now, he hasn't brought me the title.
Right.
But if you're making payments and you stop making payments, you don't have the title.
All right.
Right.
All right. So he doesn't have a title to bring me. Don't get me wrong. I called. Because I called on all kinds of bikes. There's a bike that was brought here a year ago for a woman who had a crash with a car. And it's been here for a year. And like the notes and the thing said, waiting for the legal outcome of the insurance claim. It's a year ago.
So what do you do in that case?
And so I call her. And I'm like, hey.
What's that?
You owe me $9,000 in storage.
Yeah, right.
Now, you don't really, but it is $20 a day.
Sure.
And there are 365 days in the year. So,
Unless it's leap year.
right. Fair enough. But again, that whole you owe me $7,000 of storage thing,
True. Yeah.
that should get somebody's attention.
Sure.
It seems like it'd get an insurance company's attention.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Yeah. And she says, yeah, I don't even know what's happening with that. I don't even know what happened in court.
What?
You don't know what happened in court? No. Were you cited? Did you have to pay a ticket? Oh yeah, I had to pay a ticket. Oh, then you lost.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't know what's happening with the bike. Oh, I know what's happening with the bike.
Yeah.
I know. It's here.
Yeah.
And
You owe a lot of money.
and the insurance company decided they didn't want to pay to fix it.
Yeah.
So they just quietly backed out of the room. And because you didn't chase them down.
Yeah.
And I said, do you own this bike outright? Do you have this bike? Do you have a title? Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, I own it outright. Cool. So you've got the title and everything. Yeah, I got the title. That's great. And I'm like, great, cool. So you do understand that you can bring me the title. The bike is buggered. I mean, it's not pointing the right direction. But if you just bring me the title, we'll forget about the work we've got into it, and we'll just absorb the bike. And then we'll do something with the parts or whatever.
Right.
Whatever, or pay me something what I've got into it for the invoice and take it the hell out of here.
Right.
You don't have to pay me for a year of storage, but give me a little something, for the effort.
Right.
So you got the title, right? And she goes, well, yeah, I'll have to check with the finance company.
Oh, Jesus.
Okay.
One of those.
All right. Okay. And that's when I want to go to my little dark corner and just beat my head on the wall. And so I'm like, so you are financing this bike. You do have a note that you're supposed to be paying. Well, I haven't paid it in a long time because it was tied up with insurance. I'm like, well, being tied up in insurance doesn't mean you stop making your payments.
Right.
And I'm like, and they won't repo it.
I'm parking this bike out on the side
that's
street right
what
now.
I was gonna ask
want to
you,
come
like,
pick it up? You can.
what is the
If not,
legality?
It'll get picked up by somebody.
Exactly.
If it's here for over, like, say, 6 months, and you
Right.
make so many calls,
Yeah.
what's the legality? You just pushing it out onto the sidewalk and being like, "Fuck you, bike."
Well, you're the caretaker of that vehicle.
Mechanically, right?
Well, that's the thing. And so this is the magic thing that everyone goes, well, don't you just file for a mechanic's lien?
Right.
Now, in some states, that is a thing that happens, and it happens pretty easily. I'm going to just take you through just the tip. And just for a minute. In our state, I would have to show that I had storage and parts and labor of a substantial portion of the price of the vehicle. Okay. And then I would have to take all that to the state of Ohio, and I would say, I would like to have a mechanic's lien on this vehicle. And they would say, okay, so the vehicle's clearly described, and it has a Kelley Blue Book value. It has a NADA value. Check. And then they owe me $2,200 in storage. Okay. And then they say, okay, well, they owe you $2,200 in storage and repairs that they haven't paid. Then we're going to determine what the value of the vehicle is. Let's just say, for the sake of argument, the value of the vehicle is $5,000. So now you're going to pay the state of Ohio the tax on $5,000.
Yeah.
Okay. And some fee, like $100 to $200 in filing fee to get a mechanic's lien. And then you're going to have to submit to them all of your evidence. The day it was dropped off, your rate, that you sent them certified letters asking them to pay for it, and that you've got the invoice here and then the part numbers and everything else, and that show that you sent them certified letters that they didn't pick up.
Right.
Okay? And that all starts a case. Now, hold on. About 7 years later, you'll get a ruling.
Yeah.
Now, we don't know because we've never gotten a ruling.
Really?
Yeah.
You've been around longer than 7 years.
Over 7
How
years.
long have you? How many?
I've gotten, well, I've had one ruling on one mechanic's lien, and it was for a vintage bike.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you would be the second lien
Right.
because the finance company.
Well, in that case, and that's what the state is supposed to be doing. So the state, when you submit your documents, the first thing the state is supposed to be doing, the title bureau is supposed to be doing, is that they're supposed to be checking to see who the titled owner of the vehicle is. Now, in our state, because our title bureau is lazy and inept, what they do is they make you bring in proof of the ownership. So you have to do a title search on it.
Oh, geez.
Well, if anybody in the state of Ohio has actually completed a title search and got a result that printed in paper, I would like to meet you right now and find out how you did that, because I'm doing 22 years in business, can't do it. Haven't talked to another dealer who knows how to do it. We all just kind of pray and hope, right? Or we talk to a cop that we know and get him to say that the bike is, it's titled in this name and it's not stolen.
If she gave you the name of the finance company,
Right.
you could call the finance
You can.
company, say the bike is here.
Yep.
It's FUBAR.
Yep.
If you give us the title, we'll give you $500, $300, or
Whatever.
We'll give you money for the title.
Right. I'll buy the title off you.
Otherwise,
Right.
come get your bike.
Right. Well, what happens is there's a lien against that title now, and that title needs to be retained by that company should they turn her over to collections. So they're never going to relinquish that title to me as long as that has been turned over to collections.
Yeah.
Because they need to show that she owes them the value of the bike. Now, do they want the bike back? No, because it's totaled. And they know that.
Promissory normally
Right.
do that.
Right. So here we are. So this is the thing, and this is why we're in this trap. And now maybe somebody in podcast land goes, no, he's an idiot. This is easy. You just do this all the time.
No.
It's not. Trust me. We've been through it. And this is the funny thing. So going through the service department, cleaning out these bikes that are like orphan fucking bikes, abandoned bikes. It's amazing the stuff that you hear. And I had a guy tell me today, I forgot about that bike. Look, I have forgotten that I had a pizza in the oven and preheated it and lit my house on fire, or lit my oven on fire, because I had a Pizza Hut box in the oven, and I just went and preheated my oven and woof.
I forgot I had a trigonometry class once.
Hey, there you go. Right. I forgot a lot of things.
Yeah, I forget
But I
stuff
have
every
never forgotten that my motorcycle was at the shop. Ever.
You ever drive down the highway and you see like a piece of construction equipment like just laying all like tucked behind a piece of guardrail, and you're like, how do they keep track of that shit?
Right.
I mean, like it would be so easy to like just lose a bucket or
Yeah.
lose a bobcat that just got parked somewhere, and you picked up most everything, and you were supposed to come back and get that.
Any
You left-
equipment operator in his world with a lowboy trailer could pull up and just be like, now we know that the good ones from the rental companies that pay real money have locators on them, right? But their key systems are all pretty much the same. If you've ever been an equipment operator, you'll know that they're not,
same ignition as on a standard riding lawnmower.
or for that matter, on a steel chainsaw, or for a piece of power equipment. You know, my snowblower's got the same key that a Bobcat had, right?
I always got weirded out. I like to get up on Sunday mornings and ride, even by myself, whatever. And when I used to live in Cleveland Heights, I'd go down through Cleveland to get to somewhere cool to go ride.
Yeah.
And I'd be always amazed at like 6:30 in the morning, all the bumpers laying around
Yes.
with fucking license plates attached to them. And I'm like, how do you not stop and pick up a fucking bumper? Like, I mean, like, and
At least
secondly,
your plate.
yeah, at least a plate.
Damn straight.
Yeah.
Damn
And then,
straight.
What happened? Like, why is there a bumper laying in the middle of
Yeah,
the
I
street?
need to know the rest of the story.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. The other night, when we didn't have the podcast, because I was kind of, dealing with the whole, we don't have a service manager anymore.
Yeah.
So I decided to go to Porco. Oscar was there, and we did good.
You partaked.
We partooked. But when I left Porco, I was in the BMW, the 325, the world's cheapest German convertible. Because if you know what I paid for that car, you'd be like, "Fuck you, I hate you."
Is that the one with the drop seat?
It is the drop seat. It's the one with the extra super recline that I could fix for $18 and 3 hours of labor. But I'll do that in the wintertime. But however, I'm leaving the Porco. So I got my, my Harley Davidson pillow behind me. So I'm an old man, got my lumbar support, and I'm rocking the drop top 325i. And there's all these police cars lined up, and they're very excited about something. Like a lot of police officers.
Like dogs. Like,
Yeah, there's police officers everywhere. And then there's fire equipment here, there, and everywhere. And there's all kinds of stuff. And what happened was a car had tried to plank vertically through a light pole. So it was like a vertical light pole and a vertical car. And the car had just decided to just straight up, like to run at full speed vertical into a light pole. And the car, so what I could see as I drove by was I could see the exhaust of the car,
yeah.
the undercarriage of the car, the genitals, and then the whole roof of the car had become like a wrap around the vertical light pole, so that the wing mirrors, the side door mirrors, were touching each other.
Wow.
I'd never seen anything, and I don't know how they got the car off the pole. Because
that's going to be at the shop for.
it was the equivalent of a hot dog bun.
Yeah.
It looked like a hot dog bun.
Did you make out what kind of car it was?
No,
I mean, was it like a
At that point, I
sedan?
don't
Was
think
it
you
like
can.
a sports car? Like nothing?
no, you couldn't tell.
He's going to stop paying on that one too.
Yeah, I'm
You
sure.
couldn't tell.
Wow.
You couldn't tell. But I did, so this was at 2:30 in the morning, right?
Sure.
So at 2:30 in the morning, and this is all shut down. And so the next morning, waking up, getting ready to go to work, and I throw on the news, and they're like, traffic's still tied up after last night's one-car fatality on, westbound on 90 at 44th Street. And they had a very sanitized picture taken from a long way at attractive angles, not showing what I saw, which what I saw was like a bunch of paramedics and firefighters looking at that thing going, get the guy out. I don't know how we're going to get the car off the pole.
Yeah, we're going to bury the whole thing.
Well, I think we just need to cut the pole down.
Yeah.
Right? Just cut the pole down and just drag it away as one piece. I'd never seen a crash like that in my life. It was crazy.
I thought the poles were supposed to break away.
Yeah, but this is one of them 80-footer monstrosities. So I don't think you'd want one of those breaking away. But it did wrap the car literally like a hot dog bun right around the pole. Super crazy.
I mean, imagine the force it takes to do that. That dude had to be going at least 30.
Yeah. I think he was plaid.
second.
I think he was plaid. I think he was plaid. And I can't imagine the kind of aerodynamics that had to happen.
Yeah.
So he probably swerved and he hit the Jersey barrier, and the Jersey barriers are known to kind of tilt you a little bit. So he probably hit the Jersey barrier and then it made him airborne.
On my street, if you pass my house, my current house, and go down from 18 and keep going the other way,
Yeah.
it goes down like this and around like that. It's actually really fun on a motorcycle.
Yeah.
But apparently in the last 10 years, 6 cars have hit that and just flown and done exactly what you're talking about. In fact, there's still glass in front of my house from somebody doing that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, man. I don't know why, man. Everybody's got to be the Dukes of Hazzard.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I'm driving the car, I'm moving pretty damn slowly. I am not. I'm definitely not the kind of guy you're like, oh yeah, he's. I could have a 500 horsepower car. I would never know. I drive Japanese shit with 93 horsepower, and I'm totally okay with it. Mm-hmm. It's silly.
Making their way.
I think this might be a fake name.
Oh.
Can you guys see that?
Where?
Can anybody read that name?
Mark Scriptalk.
There you go. Scriptalk.
Yeah, that's a great name.
Isn't it a great name?
Yeah.
He sounds like he should be a race of people on Star Trek.
Scriptalk, yeah.
The Scriptalks are here. And they'd have little extra testicles hanging off their chins, right?
Well, it's the cousin of the Balchinian.
The Balchinians.
E.T. the extra testicle.
What's up, gentlemen? I'm glad no one died at Mid-Ohio. Phil, I hope you're doing better after your accident.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
I'm horny, so I need a hat to fuck. I'm trying to see if I could give you more money on the Patreon page. I'll be in soon to look for a pit bike for my grandson before he drives my daughter nuts.
Nice.
Good for you. So yeah, we'll make sure to get you a hat.
And he'll have it lubed up for you.
Yeah, we'll get that. A really special hat for you. A special hat. But I did think that was pretty
cool.
Fucking fun. I like that I've put one of the things, I put a Benelli YouTube video up. And in the Benelli YouTube video, I get all these fucking hilarious comments from people all over the world. People in India, people in Pakistan, people everywhere that want to talk about my YouTube videos. That's fun. But I love where people say things like that. So Mayimbe says, that is a beautiful road area, city, state. I loved that under bridge pillars. What area is that? I would like to visit. That's right, bitches. Cleveland. Yeah. That's right. Oh, fucking Mayimbe really, really likes our architecture. Mayimbe wants to be in Cleveland. It is true that I do shoot my videos at the metro parks and stuff, and so there's a lot of cool.
Pretty. Yeah,
it's very pretty down there. There's a lot of cool stuff there.
Come, Mayimbe, come, Mayimbe.
It's so a couple of things that happened in the world of motorcycle news. So somebody's actually done moto camping on a Moto Campo.
Nice.
Yeah, man. Like, come on. All right. Moto camping on a Moto Campo.
That's ballsy.
Yeah.
And this particular person did a very good job of documenting all of their adventures. Bless them. And so this is true. They went, more than one person, they went and did moto camping. Moto camping. Right. Moto camping. Yeah, they did moto camping. But, not for nothing, it is radiant splendor. I got to give them credit. It's not like they went down the street. They went proper. And they put hard boxes on the side of a box. The Moto Campo is a box. Let's just call it what it is. It's nothing if it's not a box. It's a box.
Still have the stock motor and everything?
Well, I don't know. You'll have to go to the video to find out.
What other motor would you be able to put in?
I don't think anything else fits in there.
I kind of agree. But so there you have it. I mean, they do know they make cylinder kits for Moto Campos and stuff like that. But it is very funny to me to see a Moto Campo set up for moto camping.
I was surprised.
And it looks like they're in Japan.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was surprised to find videos of the Japanese kids doing Moto Campo racing where they have them completely blown out.
Yeah.
Oh, it's insane.
This
dude.
does look very stock. This Moto Campo looks
like Lake Erie in the background.
beautiful, scenic Lake Erie.
I spent way too much time watching this one video of this chick riding the new the Passport and she was like, oh,
Yeah.
and pulled out their little thing and it was I'm like, why am I still watching this?
Right.
Because I'm a pervert.
Let's just call it what it is. Was she an Asian girl? Yeah, she was an Asian girl. And speaking of Asian girls, as we do, dun, 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 dun,
Tell me, are they really doing
dun,
it?
dun, 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 dun. The Dachshund.
Japanese market.
The Dachshund. Ooh. And
Did just get a call. I'm supposed to go in.
did you?
Yeah. I'm just.
You really got a call? God damn it, John. God damn it, man.
But what the fuck?
Why must you toy with me?
I wish I did.
I can't believe that they went with the low fender in the front. That goes against everything in nature. Like all the ones that were in the States, the 70s ones all had high fenders.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I'm going to go ahead.
That's not in the States yet.
I know, but that looks like an Ice Bear copy of the.
You know what? Yeah. Oh.
So
you're right.
There were medium fenders. The ones in the States
right.
actually had a chrome medium.
Chrome medium.
Okay,
fender.
a medium, but it wasn't.
My
that.
bike actually has a high fender.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
that's what I remember when I was a kid. Is most of them had higher fenders.
Yeah, and you're right. Now that I look at it,
That has a street fender on it.
the more that I look at it, that fender does look wrong, and it. Oh God, why does the video about the guy riding a monkey bike or the guy riding that bike have to include him drinking hipster coffee.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, not only that, it was a slow pour over a fucking potato sack coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But he's enjoying his coffee, staring at his monkey.
He's staring at his docks.
Oh, kids.
Oh, yeah, it's the Anglo guy with the Asian kids. All right. Cool.
That makes sense.
Rock on, man.
Jump on. They're all three of them around.
No,
it.
come on. And now all of a sudden they're in Los
Unaccurate.
Angeles.
Yeah.
So they went, yeah, okay, all right. So, but this is the docks. This is the Dachshund. And, again, I'm in. You had me. You had me at hello.
That's what me and John looked like Saturday on my Africa Twin when he told me to jump on the back.
Oh, really? That was a scale image of you two guys. It wasn't on the docks. It was on the Africa Twin.
Africa Twin.
Yep.
It looks good.
I don't fucking hate it. I don't hate it. We like Dax and relax. Dax. You just want to Netflix and chill? No, I'm going to Dax and relax. Youch. So there you have it. So there's the Dax. Congratulations.
Hey, baby,
Ta-da.
jump on my Dax.
We're Daxing, baby. We're Daxing. We're gonna do some docking and then we'll do some Daxing.
Well, now after I bought the house, instead of paying cash, I would have to finance.
Oh, you have to finance your Dax.
Yeah, but you got a house, a second house.
That's
now
true.
you're like this baller guy with two houses. Different tax
You
bracket.
do have You do have extra houses. Yep, that is true.
Yeah, there's only so many people that can do that.
I'm not sure I can.
And that's a real truth of life right there. But anybody who is concerned about my my asshole, my
Secondary input or fourth input.
I was gonna say it's been basically a month, right?
Yeah.
So it's been like a month. So it's been a month. The stitches, I took all the stitches out and everything else. It's closed up real nice. Like it is the gunshot wound of stitch jobs. Like this looks straight out of like, it's okay, Johnny. We're just gonna tape you up. Get back in the ring.
Nobody's ever going to see this.
Right. And it is truly on a part of my body that hopefully nobody ever has to see. Right. Again. Sorry, John. Sorry, John.
Got pictures to prove it.
Oh man, sorry, dude. Sorry, dude.
Remember that meme of Homer Simpson pouring bleach in his eyes? That was John. He was just over there.
Yeah.
I don't care if I'm blind.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Yeah, it was pretty bad. So it is funny though, because once the stitches came
I'm
out,
glad it happened early on in the weekend.
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Later on in the weekend, who knows? There could have been a
Well, in the
cake.
oh god,
I'm telling you, after 3 days of no shower.
The swamp ass.
I'm pretty good at housekeeping. So like I have all the stuff. I've got 3 different levels of baby white in my camp. So like I keep my stuff super tidy. I was in the military for years, and I'm going to tell you, when you go out on deployment, shower is something that is not part of the military's lexicon. You're in a tank. Okay, that's fine. What is a tank? Well, a tank is a device that amplifies the temperature, the ambient temperature, by 30% in either direction. So if you're out in a tank and it's 22 degrees Fahrenheit out, right? It's a cold sink and a heat sink. That's exactly right. So in some days when it's like -10, you can't touch the outside of the tank. You'll stick to it. Okay? And some days when it's like 115, you can't touch the outside of the tank. You'll get burned by it.
Right.
And when you're taking 4 guys and putting them into, who sent that meme out? Oh my God, dude.
Yeah, I did. I said, I was like, Phil, was this your life?
That is the most accurate example of being
Next
inside.
to another wiener.
To be an M1 armor crewman. And when you see the Russian tanks with the auto loader, and those guys have kind of like, they're much smaller tanks, but that being said, they still have room around them. Yeah. In an American tank, there is no auto loader. Your loader is a guy named Lucas from Lower Alabama, right? And so Lucas takes up a lot of room. But Lucas also has all the same parts you do, and they get stinky too. But when you're a gunner, and I was a gunner, you're literally between the legs of the tank commander. So if you move your helmet back, like if you move your head back fast, you're nutting the TC. And don't think we haven't done it.
Yeah.
And if your tank commander chews tobacco and you do that, if you, for some reason, you throw your head back fast and you give him a nut shot, accidental, he's going to spit tobacco juice down the back of your neck. There's politics inside the turret.
I'm sure.
And the driver just has to be thanking God every morning that he's a driver. and that he's not in this fucking turret with you idiots, with you fucking savages.
On Saturday, me and John saw there obviously were tanks there at this thing that we were at.
Yeah, absolutely.
But the one that kind of piqued our interest, and he actually stopped and talked to the guy, was this German tank that had a crew of 2 and was the size of this table.
Oh.
Do you remember what tank that was?
I don't know. We should have talked more. I mean, people were packing up and getting ready to leave.
Yeah.
So we just took a little buzz through. We took the liberty that like the barricades were down, so we were able to go places we shouldn't go.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we were riding around inside the encampment.
But this German tank was so I thought it was like a half scale tank like that they made for this thing.
Right.
But he's like, no, that's full scale, 2-man crew, and I'm like, where do you put them? Like,
Damn.
And I mean that is a real thing that, you know, you don't go into the armor corps because you like space, right? You don't go into the armor corps because you like, you know, that luxury lifestyle. Armor's tight. It is always has been tight. It's not a great way to live. And I found that the hard way, but
Those are the Higgins boats. They actually do a landing. Like they pick guys up further down the breach and then bring them into the landing zone and drop them off several times. They make runs.
it sounds super cool. I mean, absolutely super cool. I mean, that's great, man. So I wish I would have gotten a chance to check that out. That would have been neat. I totally missed it.
Happens every year.
Happens every year. It's a World War II reenactment of the landing of Normandy that happens in Conneaut, Ohio. And so all the dudes that have all the stuff bring all the stuff
Largest
out.
reenactment of the D-Day landing.
The tank.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
it's nuts. Like I didn't know what was going on. Like John kind of mentioned it. I just wanted to take a ride and go see his new house.
So
and stuff.
that guy right there, that almost looks like, no, he's too old. It was a younger guy who had the German tank.
Yeah, but he did kind of look like that. But
Would you like a ride in my little tank?
He had the black uniform.
But I had no idea what I was getting into. And then as I get near his house, there's like Mustangs and shit flying everywhere and C-130s flying, or whatever the World War II
World War
version
II
of that.
equipment. Right. World
And
War II
it's
equipment.
flying like 30 feet off the ground. And then we get like 10 feet away, or not 10 blocks away, and you start to feel the 50 cals going and all this stuff. It's like, what the fuck, man? It was pretty intense.
They had a howitzer. They were shooting a howitzer.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, they're just completely owning it.
Oh, yeah. And the dudes, when they die, they all get Academy Awards. They're like, when they get shot, they're going, laying in the sand and stuff. It was amazing. Completely. Like, nobody just got shot and fell over. Like, it was like, you know, a complete, like, body turn with the arms flailing and, like, you know, boots flying everywhere and landing on the sand.
To me, the idea of World War II reenactments, I know people put their entire fucking lives into it. I mean, I know for a fact they do. The problem is I just am always going to think of stuff like this. I'm always going to think of people that built like an arts and crafts project on the weekend where it's like,
that
okay,
a baby carriage?
that is a baby carriage. Leave it to the Russians. It is a remote control tank that happens to also carry a baby. Yeah. I know, but that does seem like a lot of fun, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It does seem like a lot of fun. But there is so that Allo is a British television program, and
the best.
one of the Nazis is a very affable gentleman who's constantly saying, "Would you like a ride in my little tank?"
Yeah.
Just one of my favorite scenes. So
I forgot about that.
Did you forget about that?
That was a great show, man.
yeah, it's a fun show. You know what?
They're always at the bar. And like, so wasn't the thing like their accent meant they were speaking in that language?
Well,
right?
everybody spoke English,
Right.
But with various different poorly done accents.
But I think that they were like when they were like speak, because remember, like the English guys would try to speak like they'd be like
absolutely,
like it would be kind of German. So
Right.
like it was like I think when they got the accent, they were supposed to be like speaking in that language.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, without needing interpreters or subtitles or anything.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah,
You sent your message out. So super duper fun. And now, do you guys remember? Do you remember when I was on that People's Court thing?
Yeah, Judge Judy or whatever.
Yeah,
Or
right.
Judge, whatever her name is.
Would you like to know that I'm still getting fallout from that?
Really?
Oh no!
I am. I am
Another
still
one
getting
star?
fallout. So today I got a mysterious phone call at the shop. Kind of a weird
Reruns.
kind of a weird phone. Yeah, I think it might be. So I got kind of a weird phone call, and I got this weird phone call, and the guy just says, "Hey, yeah, how you doing? Cleveland, can I help you? You know you're on People's Court right now? Sure.
Yeah, I am. So stop talking to me. It's live, asshole.
Click.
So I was on People's Court again today.
The other day.
Yeah.
Do you get royalties?
No,
Every time they run it,
you don't.
give you $100.
Weirdly enough, you don't get royalties.
Well, you had more than 3 lines. You get a SAG card.
You don't get royalties,
Okay.
but you do get reviews.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, you do.
No.
All right. Hey, are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys like hate mail?
Fuck yeah.
How would you like hate mail if it was just published right on the front page of your business's Google site?
That's even better.
Wouldn't that be better?
That's awesome.
Shouldn't we read some hate mail?
Yeah, I think that's.
Let's read some hate mail. How about a 1-star review from Panther Fan?
Oh, okay.
Ready?
Yeah.
After watching People's Court, I would advise all black people not to do business with this guy. He looks super racist. I have 15,000 followers on Twitter. I'll definitely post this and spread the word to everyone, especially black people.
Well, you are obviously known as a huge racist in everywhere.
I did respond, and I literally am baiting him. I just wrote, how do I look racist?
Yeah.
Because if you answer and tell me how I look racist, then motherfucker, you're racist.
Right.
Fair enough.
Holy shit, Phil, you're white. You have to be racist.
Again,
And that's
again,
pretty much what they're saying.
1-star review. So, listeners of this podcast,
Yeah.
I remind you that you can go to Google, you can go to Cleveland Moto on Google, and you can see this review, and you can comment on it.
And even better, if you happen to be one of our African American listeners that are super cool and exciting,
Exactly.
please go and let these guys know.
You know, and to people that I've been a really, really, really servant of the people. And I have always helped people try to get their bikes and try to do things for them and go above and beyond the call.
I would say you are a mensch for human rights generally.
Oh, yeah. And I left my shop today and went and picked up a guy whose front tire blew out in the Metro Parks. And when you see how much tire he has left on his front tire, it's cords the whole way around.
Wow.
You would have not picked this guy up on principle. He needed to learn a lesson, right? Mm-hmm. But I left my shop to go rescue somebody, right? And to rescue a guy that didn't buy his bike from us, right?
Sure.
Fair. So here you go, guys. Cleveland Moto. It's on Google. Now, whether you choose to comment or leave a retaliatory review, I don't care. I honestly don't care. But when somebody's using the forum because they watched a TV show
Yeah.
and they're going to my company's website and leaving us a 1-star review and telling people that I look like a racist.
Right.
Now, for the people who don't have the luxury of being able to watch us on YouTube or watch any of our 1,700 hours of content, I look like a lot of things. I look like a chubby 53-year-old white guy. I look like somebody who doesn't take enough care of myself.
Well, once you covered up the SS tattoo on your neck,
Well,
I think it
and
really...
I also look like a guy who's never paid for a haircut.
Right.
Right? I am the definition of, oh, that's unfortunate hairline. Yeah, sure, I'm all those things. But I'm definitely not a racist. No. But to do this and call this out, you're also kind of showing your own ass.
Yeah.
And I do understand what he's doing. He's reminding people that he has 15,000 followers on Twitter.
It's a him thing. Yeah. It's, like,
It's a him thing,
pay
not a me
attention to
thing.
man.
He wants people to go to follow him on Twitter.
Yeah.
And maybe some of our folks will follow Panther Fan on Twitter.
Just give him shit.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen. I can't even imagine what's going to happen. I haven't really gone to try to find Panther yet on Twitter. I might do that right now.
Maybe we should just give him too much nice. Like everybody should just embrace him and be like,
Yeah, I just don't know. And that's just one of those things where, I mean, I guess we're going to have to try to figure it out.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
there we go.
What is it? Is it a panther?
What's a Panther?
Oh, Panzer.
Panzer off. AUS.
Yeah, that's here. Let me show him.
What are we doing?
This is the tank that we saw. This little tiny tank. I know it has nothing to do, but Smith looked it up. So this is
All right.
It's a little tiny.
Smith
fucking
didn't look
tank.
it up.
Oh, that's adorable. That's adorable little tank.
Oh, I thought Smith. Oh, you did.
That is a
Oh, John did.
adorable
Sorry.
little tank. Yep.
I didn't
there you
see
go.
you do it. I was just.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Did you find him?
So anyway, haven't found him just yet. I mean, I'm just looking up some of the, whatever. So there you go. So anyway, maybe somebody will find him. Maybe not. We only have like 5,000 listeners. So You know, they might find them, they might not. I don't care. But the point is, you know, Google reviews works both ways.
Yeah.
So if you can find them, if you care to look or whatever, that's fine. But again, so maybe going on people's court wasn't such a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know though, because if you are basically, from what this guy is saying,
Right.
he's requested fellow African Americans to go and look for the episode. I think if
Right.
any intelligent human being of any color watches
Right.
the episode,
Yeah.
you come off as just a person that knows business, and the judge is like, "You're right," and that's it. Like, I don't. Race and any kind of thing like that was never brought into it.
No,
You didn't
it had
act
nothing to
weird.
do with
Like,
that.
yeah, it's
Yeah, I
really-
don't see how it comes into it, but people.
His comments mean nothing. What means everything is that it's taking your point value down.
Yeah, yeah.
You're at 4.3.
Right.
You shouldn't be at 4.3.
You know what's funny is
Yeah.
it's
He is probably,
Right.
who knows where he is, and his 15,000 viewers might
Right.
not be anywhere near Cleveland. And I have no
Absolutely
chance
not.
of ever even buying a
Yeah.
single truck.
absolutely, yeah,
You know, it doesn't
absolutely.
matter that. It's,
Well,
it's besmirching you, but
Right.
it might not
Yep.
actually affect your bottom line as much as
Right.
getting a 4.3.
Absolutely.
well, and I think Google has a responsibility at some point of refining the system,
They're
and
not.
you have to. Well, I know they're not, but I'm saying that like you should be able to have to show.
I like that general consensus.
Yeah, you're not, but I think like you should have to show like why are you leaving a review for this place? Like
Right.
what interaction did you have? Give
Yep.
us details and like your real
Never
fucking
been
name.
there, never bought anything.
Right.
Right.
Before you leave a review, have you purchased from this place?
Yeah.
Have
Yeah,
you
there you
been
go.
to this place? Do you
That's
know
true.
the owner? Have you called? Have you,
I did find another one of his reviews.
Another one star.
Because a competitor could compel
Do not
people
stay
just-
at this property. I advise all black people not to stay at this property. Do not give them your credit card information. Okay. All right.
Yeah, he's
We
an
see a
activist.
trend now.
He's
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Got
I mean,
it.
you could even have a situation where you have a competitor who
Right.
just gets
Yeah.
all of his friends to give you.
Oh
bad-
no, we had that. So we actually had, you know, in a few years ago, we had somebody who would open up a shop and thought that would be a really clever way to get their own name out. So they said, "Oh, I had a terrible experience at Cleveland Moto,
I went to this
but
other-
I went to this other shop at this address called this thing, and they did everything great and for half the price." And it didn't take but like 6 seconds to figure out that that person was obviously shilling for a shop that they had opened.
Sure.
You know, but you can't take those away. That will be there forever. That review and my response to the review saying that you're a shill for another company, we figured you out, that will always be there. And that 1 star will always be there. So it is kind of a weird thing. So anyway, I'm grousing. I'll let that go now. So
You guys ready for a new segment?
What?
always ready for a new segment.
It's Steve Nye, the science guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I like that.
So-
yeah.
Isn't that a contradiction in terms?
Yeah.
It pretty much is.
Oxymoron.
But
Oh, no, he's very close to being a chemist.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
not an oxymoron. not an oxymoron.
I can tell you this: the motherfucker's a botanist.
yeah.
yeah.
I'll give you that. But all this knowledge comes from other people, so you know it's okay. So today at work, we did a live stream with the NASCAR guy,
Right.
and then after that we had a engineer, developer, and basically general like god of tires.
Oh,
Okay. So we started talking about tires. And so after everything was over, we're all kind of hanging out and we're taking down gear. And I'm talking to him. And I started asking him, I said, so, hey, with this tire situation,
yeah.
I was like, if you have a collection of vehicles, what do you suggest for storing them? Mm-hmm. And he goes, ooh, that's a good question.
That is a good question.
So he said, there's always the typical things guys say, like if you have a motorcycle or a car, get the wheels off the ground. Mm-hmm. That's
Okay.
good. That helps.
Okay.
He goes, but is your garage heated or not heated?
Okay.
I said, not heated. He goes, that's a problem. I said, why? He goes, if you have any type of performance tires, especially, but pretty much any tires, but
Right.
especially performance tires.
Yeah.
So anything soft, compound.
Right.
So like
Right.
your sport bikes, my
Yeah.
Z900.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Even your off-road tires, whatever.
Yep.
He said that once a tire is in 32 degrees or below for over 24 hours,
Yeah, it's
it
frozen.
molecularly changes the composition of the rubber. And it can take up 30% of your mileage and stuff away from the tire over the course of the next few years.
Really?
Secondly, he said that garages somehow have like quite a bit of ozone in them.
Yeah, that's.
And ozone is one of the worst things that can do to damage a tire.
Yep.
So he said that optimal solution, if you have a race bike and you have brand new meats on it, He said, take them off, put them in 2 layers of black plastic bag, and put them in your basement out of light and in a mean temperature of 60 degrees.
Whoa!
And he says they'll be fresh for the next year. He says if you can't do that, get your bike on stands, get the wheels off the ground so you don't have any flat spots, and it helps a little bit. He says, and realistically, if you can put bags around them and tie them up around the tire, he said that a couple layers of that will keep the light from getting in, the ozone getting to your tires. And he said that'll at least give you a little bit of a fighting chance if you can't control the temperature going up and down.
And that is, and there's a big, as a guy that looks at every fucking tire that comes in here, and every time somebody drops a bike off for service, I look at the tires, and it scares the shit out of me what I see people driving around on. And we're going to go and look at this one that I've got in the service department right now, because I have seen many a back tire with the threads showing. That's not a fucking, that's not weird. But to see a front tire with the threads showing,
that's crazy.
Almost the whole way around. And it's not a chicken strip either. I got to give the guy credit. It's out in the danger area.
Yeah.
But it's to the threads. And it is to the threads. Jeez. So what
was the date on the tire?
Old. So that's another thing. That's another thing. The average age of a tire that comes into my shop is around 10 years.
Jeez.
That's average age.
Yeah.
So, and we will always point it out to the customer. We'll be like, okay, just letting you know. I'll point with my finger and say, that's the oval on the side of the tire that has the date code. First 2 digits are the week of the year. There's 52. And then the second 2 digits are the year, right? And you don't have to worry about before 2000 because a lot of tire companies didn't do that then. So I will show people, the gentleman that came in today, not the same guy with the baldy tire, but a guy that brought his bike in and his tires looked great, you know? And he said, yeah, you know, I've only had these tires on my bike for about 3,000 miles. And I said, yeah, that's cool. And he says, but I haven't ridden this bike for 2 or 3 years, so I want to put it back into service safely. So could you look at my tires? And I said, well, we could look at your tires together. So let's come out and look at the tires together. Because now that I have a new service director, I can do these things. So I went out and I pointed to the side of his tire. And first of all, I said, well, your tire is from year of our Lord 2010. So your front tire is 12 years old. And it has plenty of meat on it, but I'm going to show you the sidewall. And not only did it have the crazing, you know, the crazing or what is technically ozone cracking, okay? Not only did it have that, but it had the full radial cracks. So it had the cracks that are like 8 inches long that are right by the bead of the tire.
Yeah.
All right? And those ones are always scary. But the ones that I think are the scariest ones that are in the tread. So if you look into the grooves of the tread and the tire is literally starting to separate. And so here's a tire with 2,000 to 3,000 miles on it. Brand was a good brand. It's a Michelin tire. But just the same, you can't help the fact that it's a 12-year-old tire and it's been stored in his garage where it routinely goes, under 32 degrees.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, that's what the guy, he actually said something really, because he knew about motorcycle tires. I guess obviously if the company makes them, he knows. But he said that one of the biggest things that he thinks is funny is he said, especially in areas that get a lot of snow, like Ohio and places like that, guys always blame, like the sport bike guys will take their bikes out and they crash and they'll be like, oh, there must have still been salt on the road. And he's like, a lot of times that's not the case. Because he goes, it rained or something like that. What happens is that they just threw their bike in the garage. Yeah. They had super sticky, like Pirelli, Dragon Z, whatever tires on it.
Right on.
And last year they were, you know, the Dragon knees and the bike wasn't skin anything.
Brand new tire last year.
Brand new tire, 500 miles, doesn't matter.
Right.
And he says now it's sat in this cold weather all winter and stuff like that. And now you have a racing tire-ish that's made for the street.
Yeah.
And it loses 30% of its compound. You go to hang that turn, and now you crash. Oh. And they must have missed the salt. It didn't rain hard enough or something, not realizing that their super sticky tire is no longer super sticky.
Go ahead, John.
Is the tire ruined completely all the way through, or can I just burn off some of the outside?
Some Italian tuning.
Well, I
love your approach to that. It's just the outside.
Well,
it's the crust.
Did it get ozone,
on the creme brulee?
Did the ozone just affect the surface of the tire, or is it all the way through?
That's a good
That's
question.
a very good question.
If I'm careful, in the first 1,000 miles will eventually wear in and get soft.
Let me ask you this:
get into the soft meat again.
If it's 18 degrees for 6 weeks, how thick of that coldness gets into the tire?
Well, it all gets cold.
Yeah, so that it's all changing the molecular thing. So
I don't know about this. I've got to look all this up. I'm skeptical.
Okay,
Hey, man.
so you guys
It's
want to...
actually also not going to affect my tire.
No. Yeah.
Because I can't afford to keep my garage heated all winter.
Right.
And I'm not taking the tires off my bike and packaging them in bags and putting them in.
Yeah.
No, but I might put bags over my tires in the garage. That can't
Absolutely,
hurt. Just
right.
to keep the.
You could buy like the heater things or whatever.
Well, that actually
wrap.
gave me an idea.
Oh, you're going to leave your tire heaters on, your tire warmers on year round?
Well, no, but think about it. Like, you know how you have your battery tender?
Yeah.
You could have a tire tender. Yeah. And it just keeps it at 40 degrees.
I'm not saying you're wrong,
Right.
but I'm saying that'll cost you.
Yeah,
Well, I'm saying I'm going to
they're not
sell them.
cheap,
That's
dude.
my new product
I want to
line.
throw the ball back towards the manufacturer and say,
Right.
these are defective tires. If they are fucking ruined if they go below 32 degrees.
Right? Yeah,
Because it's
right.
rubber.
Yep.
And rubber is an extremely resilient compound.
Right, but it's also, he said it's about the type of compound.
It's the sticky tires.
Winter tires are
Performance.
designed to be in snow, and they probably have a harder compound, so they don't have that problem.
Half of the country has to deal with freezing conditions.
Right, but
So
but you know what though?
Only
If
in
you
America.
followed, if
they
you
should let me know that this is not meant to be sold in Ohio.
well, no, but think about it. So all season, either one. So all season tires are going to be harder and probably don't affect it. But if you have your ZR1 fucking track tires, they probably get affected.
Thankfully, I never will be buying any tires.
Right. Well, I mean, I did say sticky tires in the beginning. You missed the whole sticky
That's true.
tire.
And I do
Now,
like
don't
that.
get all upset.
Right.
This is what I do.
Yeah. Right.
I try to bring good content, and
Called
John
point-
just
it's
makes
called-
me feel bad.
No, it's called point counterpoint.
Point
I know, I
counterpoint.
know.
Exactly. Yep. I totally agree. Yep.
No, that was fine.
Very interesting.
It's a good question, but yeah, I was pretty amazed by that. Like that that's a thing.
interesting.
Yeah, I
It
didn't
is
know.
the thing. It is the thing. So we've got our podcast listener, John, and we talked a little bit about John, and John has a 71 SL350. Yeah. Right? Nothing wrong with that. A bike that I think we all can agree of the entire realm of 350s, all the 350 parallel twins, every single Honda 350 that they ever made.
I missed one by 2 weeks. I sold it for $300. 2 weeks. And I remembered the bike. It sat in the kid's garage forever. I'm like, you remember that bike that sat in the garage? It was your brother's that he never rode. It just sat there. Whatever happened with that? Oh, that was an SL350. I sold it 2 weeks ago for $350.
How long ago was this?
Oh,
okay.
man.
But that bike had, I just remembered the vibrant colors of the paint. I know it was like a brand new bike that never left the garage.
Right. And I mean, and that's been one of those ones where I kind of always said, I think I'm done. I'm pretty sure I'm done with CB350s, right? Just got to say, I'm just done with CB350s. I don't need another one. I've had a ridiculous number of them. Even if I found
a CB350 because I have a 305 Super Hawk.
Exactly. Yeah, that's another great
But
way
I
to
do
look
have
at
a
it.
CL350.
That's true
I don't
too.
need
Yeah.
a CB350 because I have it.
Because you have one. Exactly. So here's what I want to bring up. So for just for the sake of our discussion in the podcast, the bike in question is the Honda SL350. And what is the SL350? Well, it's not a CL350 scrambler. It's not a street bike that just happens to have these high chrome pipes on it so you can pretend to go off-road. It's a little bit more of an actual dirty bike.
I thought about trying to build a Fuller. You know what I mean? Like, go get the tank,
Yeah.
maybe the seat.
The frame is dramatically different.
Just different fenders,
Yeah.
But
So if you look at this frame, you can see that there's a sharp downward trajectory from the triples to the testicles, right? So this whereas a normal Honda CB350 is pretty much straight across the top rails. So they did things to give this bike an abundance of front wheel travel. Not so much on the back, but they did give it abundance of front wheel
I
travel.
always like the chopper tank, like how it's angled
It
up.
is
like-
angled up.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just in my mind, this is a bike that Honda said is kind of a purpose-built motorcycle.
Yeah.
Whereas the CL350 is like it's a pretend scrambler, right? It's just different pipes. So we talked about John's, not your John, but our podcast Patreon members, John, bike was weeping oil between the cylinder and the head. And we've said that, well, they kind of all do that. And unless it's a big deal, don't sweat it.
extremely uncommon.
Right. And so he'd had a problem getting the upper fork boots off in order to change the fork oil, the upper fork bolts. And I gave him a tip and I said, the hex head caps at the top, don't dick around. Don't use a pipe wrench. Get the proper 6-point socket. Because when you get up to those sizes, you might only have a 12-point socket, right? But don't be tempted, because the relief on that big fucking nut, 24 millimeters or whatever it is, or bigger, it's 28 or 29 millimeters, is fucking big. So it's very shallow. So I explained to him, get the proper 6-point socket, get a hammer impact driver, and then loosen the triple clamps so that those fork tubes are now proud. Because if you look at this, the fork tubes, the top of the fork tube is literally maybe an inch under the handlebars. You have no access to get in there.
Right.
In your Honda toolkit, there is a 6-point wrench in the factory Honda toolkit that is the right size to do those caps. But if you get to put those on, there is an extension in the toolkit that you slide on, and then you're really going to have to reef on it to get those to open, because they've been on since 1971.
Right.
It's a better idea, take your handlebars off and move them out of the way. Drop them over your headlight, wrap them in a towel. Loosen your triples and slide the bike down onto the fork stanchions, okay? And you slide them down on the fork stanchions, and that will expose those things up above the danger area of your very expensive and irreplaceable speedometers.
Right.
Yay. And then once you've got that much exposed, now you can get on there with a proper wrench and an impact and shock them loose.
And put a towel over your gas tank.
Yes, please do, right?
Before you
right.
drop
and
all
before
this
you
shit
do
on
all
it.
that stuff. Take it off.
Or that's
exactly.
even a better
right.
idea.
That's what I would do, right?
Yeah.
Get it up. So anyway, he says, yep. He goes, that worked. Yay.
Cool.
And I said, if it doesn't go using an impact driver, you can work a little bit of heat. So work a little bit of heat into it, and then go cold, heat and cold. Usually
I don't know
it'll
if
break
you put them
most.
back together, but you got to be really careful. Those cross threads.
The threads on those is finer than fine, right? So you do have to get it right. So he says, I got lucky, and all they needed was the 6-point and the impact. You guys are awesome. So consider that one beer earned. However, he said, is there a trick to getting this fucking headlight out? I'm struggling. Oh boy, there is a trick to getting that headlight out. You will think that you should loosen those bolts on the side of the ears that hold the headlight in. That does nothing. You're only going to drop the liners or the nuts on the inside into the basket, and it will be harder to move.
Yep.
So that headlight has a chrome bezel around it, and that chrome bezel will come off. But it's probably been there for a really fucking long time. The hardware that's holding that chrome bezel on is made of Velveeta. So we're going to give another shout out to the Impacta by Vessel Phillips head, a.k.a. JIS head screwdriver. Go fucking gentle on this thing. Do not reef on it. Do not turn those super soft bolts into putty. This is the time, because you're literally working on a plastic housing. And it's a plastic housing that was brittle when it was put on brand new in 1971.
That should have Phillips head
It will.
screws like right under the bottom.
It will.
Yeah.
Sometimes there's two. But
There's
that probably
one
has
right into the bottom.
Well,
And so it locks in on the top.
Yep.
Yep.
It rocks out. On the
But
you have to turn it, don't you? A little bit?
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
But here's the trick. There's also screws to adjust the aim of the headlight. Do not be fooled by those.
Right.
Those
They
will be accessible from the front of
exactly from the front of the lens. But
And it's usually smaller, too, right?
much smaller.
Yeah.
Coming at it from the bottom, you will only see one fastener down there, and that's the one you got to work on. And then once
the
that,
little spacer thing. Too.
Yep.
That's what keeps you from cracking the plastic.
exactly. Don't lose anything, and pay special attention to the order of assembly in reverse when you take this thing apart, because this guy's bike is beautiful. We don't want to see him crack his fucking headlight bucket, because
This isn't a picture of his bike.
no. But this is a picture of his bike, and it's fucking gorgeous, right? So I mean,
Oh, it's
yeah.
clean as
Fuck.
fuck.
it's clean as fuck, So it's
Holy
got
shit.
the original factory.
That painted headlight shows.
Exactly. Unobtainium. So that's why I'm saying these things in this manner, because there is literally, and I'm going to pass this around, but you can see the screw hole.
Yeah.
So you can see where the screw hole is in the bottom that holds the bezel down. But you're absolutely right, Sleepy, that there is a bent metal tab that goes into a plastic housing. And that's where you got to take the one screw out of the bottom, lift the bezel away ever so little bit, and then rotate it a tiny bit. And when you do that, then it will let itself go. So it'll be fine, and you'll be good. So
I lost the picture. I
It's
couldn't show it
okay.
to Smith.
You can do that. I'll fire it back up for you, buddy. So I mean, as far as I'm concerned, being careful with these things is everything.
Yeah.
Okay, everything. So I'm going to go and you can pass it around. Just don't look at it so
Don't
long.
touch it.
Don't touch it. Right. So, but when you see that, there are 3 or 4 different screws that you might be dicking with. Don't dick with all 3 or 4 different screws. There's one screw. It's kind of if you're looking at the speedometer, it's in the 5 o'clock position. Yeah. If you're sitting on the motorcycle, it's at the 7 o'clock position. Okay.
That seems to be kind of like universal for all brands, like older bikes, like the Kawasaki's.
That style of retaining the ring and using the ring to hold everything in.
But always at the 5 o'clock position.
Yeah, kind of not
like
straight up and down
yeah.
because at the bottom, straight up and down, there'd be a slot. Yeah, he's got screw out.
Yeah, I think he doesn't know that you have to twist it.
Exactly. Screws out.
I'm looking at the paint on it too. Mm-hmm. I wonder if it's been repainted.
I don't know. Yeah.
Or maybe they painted it and then put it back.
Maybe. That's always a challenge.
Well, I would probably suggest taking a razor blade really carefully and going
I'm
between.
glad you mentioned that because let me read the rest of the statement.
Oh, what did he say?
Something about a razor blade, right?
Okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So, okay, cool. Yeah. Skip to chapter 3.
Yeah.
Right? We're all worshiping a fucking screw hole.
Yeah.
We're missing the actual story. So he says, is there a trick to getting this headlight out? I'm struggling. Headlight seems like it's burned out. I said, remove the chrome ring first. He says, that's the problem. It's very stubborn. I worked my way around it with a putty knife. Now, I have had these bikes where the adhesive holding them together. So what you don't know is Honda did have a gasket. So there was a gasket in there, and those gaskets melt down over time. I also had them stuck together with guys that like wax the shit out of their bikes.
Oh, yeah.
And the crevice will fill up with wax.
Yeah.
And then over years it'll get dry and turn into adhesive.
That Carnuba turns into fucking JB Weld.
It sure does. All right, before I spend a crap load of money trying to replace this 50-year-old headlight, I want to make sure it isn't a wiring issue first. With a battery that is giving about 11.8 volts across the terminals, I'm getting about 10.3 volts at the headlight connections, both high and low beams. Is that about right? I wrote back, is there a reason your battery is so weak?
Yeah.
You might have a case of having some voltage there, but nowhere near enough amperage underneath it. Okay.
Anytime you're working on electrical, have the bike on a battery charger.
Thank you. Exactly. That is the thing that I want the takeaway to be. If you have a device in your arsenal that produces 12 volts or so going out, have that hooked to your battery while you're playing around. Because
we want your battery to be having its best life.
Its best fucking life, right? And if somebody tells me that their battery has 11.8 volts at the battery, but then only has 10.3 volts, it's lost a volt and a half between the wires at the battery to the wires at the headlight.
That's a lot.
That tells me there's not much push behind it. So if you're losing a volt and a half in 36 inches and 3 switches, you've got an amperage problem, not a voltage problem. Yeah. And so I'm glad to say his response is, upon further testing, it appears my battery is trash and my headlight is trash. The battery was a new Moto Bat AGM. I bought it over the winter. Now it seems like it charges up to 13.4 volts, but it drops immediately to 12 volts.
So it's not holding the charge.
Could the bad headlight have ruined the battery? I put a modern regulator rectifier on the bike last year. Okay. Batteries, as we say here, light and heat and sound are expensive to a battery.
Okay, well, if he has it on the charger and he's charging it up and it's at 13 volts,
right.
When he takes it off and it lets it sit for a day and it returns to like 12.5 or 12.8, that wouldn't be a bad battery.
Not the worst thing.
Now, the real way to test a battery is to load test it.
Yep.
There's two ways. There's 2 ways. You could use a load tester, which is a heating element that you crank onto it. It has a momentary switch.
I'm sorry, did you say heating element?
It's a heating element.
Your load tester is from last fucking century.
Oh, you have a fancy load tester?
I do have a fancy load tester.
I like simple, stupid load testers, and that's one of them. The other is you can hit the starter.
There you go. That's my favorite load tester.
And then just see what if it drops below 10 volts under starting condition.
Yep.
That's probably not a good battery.
If you have the funniest thing about motorcycles always comes down to some incredibly simple stuff that is really, really, really easy to check, but super duper often overlooked. And why the reason I think that John's story here about why he's having these multiple problems, it turns out that he might actually have one problem. Well, the first thing is his bulb, and we all know these bulbs in the industry. These are a big fucking glass bulb.
Even through it, and if you see any black or if it's discolored, you probably have a higher low beam burnout.
You got something burned out. And these headlights back in the day are a twin filament headlight bulb, and it has 3 terminals on the back. One is a ground, and one is for high beams, and one is for low beams. Each of them draws 12 volts.
White and
blue. Yep. And each of them draws 12 volts. Whether you're in high beam circuit or low beam circuit doesn't matter. They're both pulling 12 volts. It's not like one pulls 9 volts and one pulls 14. No, they both pull 12 volts. But the thing is, these headlights were fucking well over 55 watt draw. These things were thirsty motherfuckers. They were ultimately the low beam headlights on a 4 headlight car system. And that's why they had terminals for both low beam and high beam. So when we were poor young people who owned vintage Honda motorcycles, we didn't go to the Honda dealer and buy the $55 Honda headlight. We went to the auto parts store and bought the Wagner 1158 or the 587. But you bought that bulb because that was at Napa and that was $5. Okay. And it did work. Now there's a couple little glass posts on there, locating posts on the car headlight to make that the car headlight sure is in the right orientation, so it throws the pattern of light on the road the right way. So dumb people would take that headlight and rotate it until the one proboscis on the lantern, the bulb, would slide into a notch that's on the headlight holder of the Honda. You are wrong. What I would do is I would take my Dremel out and lightly modify the headlight holder in my Honda. So now my headlight could now take those cheap ass Wagner or GE car headlights and be properly oriented. So I would make 2 little incisions on my headlight holder that nobody would see and then have a lifetime of $8 bulbs. Sure. Even on a big, beautiful 7-inch headlight on a CB750 or something that would be expensive. You can do that in this situation. This is a standard sized headlight. You don't need to spend all God's money to it. They also sell conversion kits. We have them here that existed. We bought them for the Royal Enfield. So you could plug an H4 bulb into something that was designed to carry an incandescent bulb that was basically a source of light, but more source of heat. Now, this is where it gets kooky.
Before I get to say it, I think what Cinch is saying about rotating that headlight bezel a little bit is definitely something he wants to do.
Oh, yeah, for real.
It does need a quarter turn one way or the other.
It does. When you take it out?
It doesn't feel like it. Even on a Kawasaki or anything from that era, it feels like you should be able to pull it out or do something.
You think that you can lift the bottom out and it'll just pull out, but you can't. You pull the bottom out and you have to rotate it a tiny bit.
And the way they did it with
and that's why I've broken them.
Yeah. Well, I was about to say, and when the way they pressed them, when you go to put it back, it's a pain in the dick to get it to go back in.
Yes, it is.
It's like it only has one position where it'll actually slide behind the other part.
Absolutely.
And if you don't get it there, you're just fucking with the thing
and
for
you know what?
hour.
And very much like a lot of Japanese motorcycles and Japanese cars, there's one fucking way.
Yeah. That's
and if you try to do it the wrong way and press it, you'll crack the housing.
Yep. Done.
Yeah. Oh, I'm just going to push it harder and get that screw in there and then snap.
Yeah.
So take your time and do it right.
Buy another whole headlight and shell so that you can practice this on the bench.
Don't be afraid to throw money at the problem. So if your battery that you're using, and like he says, he's got an AGM. So let's clarify for people. That means absorbed glass mat. And absorbed glass mat does not mean you get a fancy battery. 20 years ago it did.
No, you got to go get one of those clear batteries that they have that are new old stock, so it matches the right year of bike. You know, the Red Wing shock kind of battery of shock. I think of their GS. Their GS with the blue writing on it. That's nice. That came out of probably a dream.
Came out of a baby dream.
It's nice and thin.
160. So that's a 6-volt battery that came out of a 160 dream.
But now some of them are clear.
Absolutely.
If you get the GS.
The GSs, yeah, totally clear. But so these lead acid batteries, that whole thing is you can see because the cases, there's a reason that the lead acid batteries had the translucent case or the transparent case.
That's a good battery.
It is a good battery. It's actually a good battery. Yeah. So that's the factory battery that came in that motorcycle.
Tell by the smell, the feel, the look of a battery.
The taste, yeah.
So that archaic bit of technology right there, because you could look through that battery and you could see how much sulfites were in it. You could see if there was dark at the bottom, if it was loaded up with sulfites and the plates are arcing out against each other.
Cool. They're clear.
Yeah, it is cool. And when you get into those yellow and clear GS batteries of the olden days, they're fun because they're perfectly clear. You can see all the growth and stuff growing on your battery plates. Now we're going to go to the absorbed glass mat, more modern technology. It is a fiberglass mat, and your electrolyte literally gets absorbed so that this battery now can be inverted and not have the delicious electrolytes come out and burn holes in your pants.
Or your bike.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. All right. By the way, I had the pair of jeans that I wore when I was volunteering here for a while.
These were new.
Yeah. The jeans that I wore here for those 2 months.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was going on. I pulled them out of the dryer, and I'm like, what the fuck are all these little holes everywhere?
Hey, you thought you had moths.
I know. And then I'm like, oh, you know what? It was probably all the battery acid I was putting in batteries.
Exactly. And so these were brand new fucking Duluth Trading Company pants. That's just not cheap.
No.
And so what happened is somebody prepped a battery and set it on a chair.
Oh, and it dropped a little dribbly.
And they didn't do good housekeeping.
Yeah.
Now, John has worked with me. You've worked with me. Mm-hmm. I am NASA clean room status when I'm doing batteries.
Yeah.
Like, seriously, if I see any moisture, first thing, taste test. Yep, that's acid. Second thing, complete hose down of the area.
Yeah.
I take the batteries, I hold them under the faucet. They're sealed. But I have done that. I've ruined so many pairs of clothes. The only way to describe how I have acid burn holes on my pants is that some asshole had put a battery, set a battery on something I sat on.
Set upon.
Right. And customers come into the shop and they're holding these batteries that look like they were taken out of like the Flintstones car, and they're just corrosion. Yeah. Like the terminals are just covered in stalactites and stalagmites, and they're just handling it like it's nothing.
Yeah.
They got it under their armpit, right? And they're rubbing it on their shirt. Their hands are covered in electrolyte, dried electrolyte, and they're just like, I'm going to bring this in and give it to you because I don't want to pay that fucking core charge or whatever. And I'm like, that's fine, great. You just leave that right on the concrete right there and go away. I'm just going to go and touch all your clothing. No, you're not. You're not coming in my building, sir. In fact, I'm going to go get a garden hose and put it outside because you have got to get decontaminated. Yeah. You are covered in fucking acid, pal.
Dude's picking his nose.
I don't know why that's a problem. And apparently your parents didn't have any lead paint left on their windows either because you're not playing with a full fucking deck. But people don't realize how terrible that shit is. And it will take metal off of metal. And if you are working with in this case, he's got an AGM battery. That does not make you immune to the gaseous effects because that battery will be gassing the whole time it's working. You cannot stop it from happening. And those gases are corrosive.
I remember I was riding my CB1.
Yeah.
And my wifey was on the back, and we were on a ride. I don't know if it was a fall colors ride or whatnot. And I started hearing this really high pitch. And we rode, we continued to ride and everything. Well, we pulled in at that one bar out in the middle of nowhere. I forget what the name of it is.
The hitching post or the trading post?
The hitching post.
Oh, we love that bar.
Yeah.
Pulled into the hitching post, whatever, and I get off my bike and I hear this. I'm like, I think that's coming from my bike. And I'm going over the bike and I'm like, I think it's from under the seat. So I pull the seat off and my battery's going.
Was it an AGM?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it was venting.
I'm like, let me see if my bike will start.
Yeah.
So what had happened was Johnny Smacklefresh's voltage regulator had gone out. Not the gone out where it won't make voltage.
It went the other way.
Oh, and
You had a 24-volt battery.
Yeah, so it had cooked everything out of that battery.
It boiled it out.
Wouldn't start.
Yeah.
What did Johnny McElfresh do?
I'm dying to know.
He ripped the top cap off, took his beer,
Yeah. You diluted your battery?
poured it in the battery.
You're a fucking chemist.
Smacked the thing back on and started the bike right up.
oh,
Nice.
Damn.
Nice.
Hey, you were talking about people eating lead paint.
And rode it for the rest of the ride and made it home.
Yeah.
awesome.
That's fucking great, man. That's so cool.
You were talking about people eating lead paint.
Yeah.
So I picked up a project truck a week ago, and I've been trying to put pieces together to make this thing all nice.
Yeah, well, hold on, folks. You can't just get away with that statement. Okay. You cannot just be like, I bought this project truck.
Right.
Okay, to clarify, this redneck hillbilly piece of shit that you bought. Okay, what year?
2005.
Not bad, from this century.
Yeah.
And it's a Dodge Ram,
1500, four-wheel drive.
and of course it's an
1500?
extended cab.
No, it's the short 6 foot 4 inch.
No, extended cab, not extended
Oh
bed.
yeah, no, 4-door. Yeah,
It's 4 doors.
Quad cab.
And it's that old band color champagne.
Perfect. Yes.
Silver,
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Most
Like
affordable color.
Oscar's RAV4.
Yeah.
The most
Right.
affordable color.
The most affordable color.
It's actually light almond metallic. Thank
Is
you
it
very much.
light almond metallic? Holy shit.
So-
really? It's light almond
Swear to
metallic?
God, I bought a quart of paint. It's light almond metallic.
So I mean, not for nothing, but any other car company in the world would call that some form of gold.
Right.
They might
said-
call it some sort of, platinum, or they would give it a name that isn't
Beige.
a nut.
Yeah, right.
Beige.
So
Champagne.
So-
Beige glow. Champagne was a big one for a lot of car
yeah,
manufacturers.
and I could see that being
Right.
there.
Champagne.
But- so I've been using my Summit discount, which is pretty fucking awesome, and I got brakes and all this stuff, and so I paid $1,500 for this thing. It's got 97,000 miles, and it starts. Everything
Wait,
works. on it.
97,000?
That's it.
That's it?
That's it. Guy died 2 years ago.
I
of
would
the
never
sea.
tell somebody to buy a Dodge, but
You couldn't. I mean, I could sell it tomorrow for more than I.
and is it a 5.7?
No, 4.7 gas.
Oh, okay, 4.7. Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
got it.
but it is 4-wheel drive. Everything works. Whatever.
Right.
But so the bed, the only thing rusted on it was the bed, like every bed in the history of fucking
Go
trucks in
figure.
Ohio, right? So I started looking. I was going to buy rust repair panels and stuff, and they're $300-400, and then you got to paint it and do obviously all the work. So I was like, you know what, these beds. And I started finding all these guys that are like, Texas truck beds. They
Yes.
bring them up from Texas, and you can get
Absolutely.
them, and they're fairly.
Yep.
So
Yep.
I found fucking a light almond metallic bed in perfect condition. The dude wants like $900 for it. And I'm like,
That's not a bad deal.
That's an extremely good deal.
so I said, hey, I would like to purchase this bed that you have here. He's like, excellent. Can you come today? And I said, well, I'm working today. And I said, actually, I'm like, my wife, I didn't want to get into details, but I was like, my wife's on a business trip. She has my car that has the trailer. The truck doesn't drive yet. But I'm like, happy. I can come today and pay you, and I'll come and pick the thing up on Saturday.
I can pay you today.
And he's like,
I can give you the
hold on.
money
He goes,
today.
I don't do deposits.
It's not a deposit.
And I said, exactly. I said, sir, it's not a deposit. I'm willing to pay you the full amount,
Paying you in full.
and you will have the money. So worst case scenario, you're paid. And then he's like, how do I know you're going to come and get it?
You don't, but you have my money.
You have my
So
money.
we're cool.
And I said, but he's like, I got a new shipment coming in that I need this gone this weekend. I'm like, do you think that I would give you close to $1,000 and not come and pick it up?
And he's like,
He's like,
yeah, because I do that.
he's like, I don't do deposits. I got a guy coming tomorrow, and he just funked it, and that was it.
Oh my God.
So I found another one, and I'm probably gonna go Saturday and get it in the morning. But like,
I would call that guy though. I mean, if that's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
better
yeah.
deal.
Yeah, yep.
Because he might have just been. He might still
Right.
have it. You call
Right.
him back and be like, "Hey, I'm calling about that champagne.
800.
yeah,
Right.
I'll give you 800 for it.
I'll give you
I'll
800
pay
and
it
I'll be
right
there in
now."
26
Yeah.
minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're
Yeah.
the two places, for some reason, all truck bed from Texas and stuff lives near Circleville, Ohio.
Yeah. It's
like the
you're
pla-
not wrong.
No,
Yeah,
that's like where
yeah.
all these places are.
Yeah,
So I
you're not
I
wrong.
might do that. I might just drive down there, and before I buy the one, just call that other guy and be like, "Hey, I happen to be here. What's up?" You know?
I do have to respect Dodge for having the ugliest hood.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The crosshairs.
Oh, there's nothing attractive about this truck, but if I want to move fucking shit around
like
now, yeah, I mean,
To me, I always thought that these trucks were the living embodiment of the fender is very stylized. The fender is a very lovely fender. I mean, the front fender is a good-looking fender on that truck. The arches are great. The headlights are actually kind of cool. They have that semi-jag where they have a little bit of a cutout in the bumper valance.
Only for 2 years.
If you flash forward a couple more years on
they get sexy.
They look really nice.
Have you seen the TRX that just came out?
But
oh, dude, I was moist. It's nice. It's a good
this is
truck.
one of the first of the trucks where it's like, we just put a gigantic fucking schnozzle on the front of this thing.
Grill.
Well, they
For
tried
no good reason.
Well, no, you know what the reason is?
To look like an F-250?
No, I want to look like a semi that got shrunk down.
Fair game.
Yeah.
But how small is your dick? Because you've got to say,
Well,
right,
yeah, you know. Yeah.
right. Any single one of us has heard of aerodynamics.
Yeah.
We are aware that to make aerodynamics work, you start with a little thing.
Yeah, and then
you go to a medium or big thing, and then you taper it off again. It should kind of look like
look how much cooling
should kinda
that
look like a-
radiator is going to have.
poo.
The radiator is going to get so much air through it, it can't blow up.
Yeah, but
It's going to get so much drag on it.
I was gonna
that
say,
it will cause the hood to open without pulling the
15
thing.
miles to the gallon anyway.
Exactly.
but that's the thing, though. If they would have styled it differently, it could have got 30.
I'm not even here to argue. There is the giant ridiculous hood, the proboscis.
Oh, yeah.
The ridiculous. My nose is this big on my face.
4 huge nostrils.
4 gigantic nostrils. Everything about trucks in the United States is broken.
Yeah.
And if you said, I would like you to fix that abomination, the front of this thing would look like a Buick LeSabre. Right?
Yeah.
I've seen them where it was like a black truck and they put like a 1958 Packard front end on them.
Oh, nice.
And they look fucking sweet.
It looks gorgeous.
But so the whole thing is, I'm really excited to get this thing driving because I'm going to put flags in the back like all the guys do, huge. And it's going to say, Snake says, have a nice day. And then
Don't be that guy.
the other one's
We have too many of those in Ohio.
just a big
Don't
smiley
Tread
face.
on me, please.
Yeah. It's going to be all good stuff, man.
No.
so, these are pickup trucks that get 35 miles to the gallon.
Yeah, not mine.
Exactly.
Right.
These are pickup trucks that probably will carry just as much shit as your truck will ever carry.
Not for $1,500.
Not for
Won't pull
$1,500.
12,000 pounds.
Neither will
That's
mine.
exactly. I was going to say.
Mine pulls 8.
Yeah.
8,000.
Yeah.
They
right.
won't pull 8.
Yeah. But the idea being that aerodynamics can be done. It is a thing that exists. And simply saying that something is a truck
Not in America.
means exactly that's the problem. And that's the problem is that the nose of every truck needs
You
to
want
look like
aerodynamics, you go out to California.
It needs to look like the top of his fucking hat, right? And so if every fucking truck in America looks like the front of his fucking hat, and I think it's because people have been watching them fucking Pixar movies with all those talking cars. And they're like, everything needs to know.
Don't you shit on Mater.
Oh, fucking exactly. It's
not
so
shit.
fucking bad, man.
But I forgot to tell you guys the best part. So this truck comes from, my neighbor found it because his wife works with the lady who was selling it and her husband.
All right, fair enough. Yeah, all right.
Their grandfather passed of COVID 2 years ago, and this was his truck.
Okay.
And I found the blue blockers. So I have an actual pair of awesome blue blocker, like giant glasses that came in the truck. But here's the other best part. So I looked at the rust on the bed, and it didn't look as bad as I thought it was. But I was going to get into it and find out how much work I had. So as I start peeling it up, it starts coming up, and then the clear epoxy. And wait, it gets better. And the gauze covering the holes that he then epoxied.
So he covered.
supposed to use great stuff.
He literally made a Band-Aid. He used gauze
Yeah.
and clear epoxy.
Clear epoxy.
This guy knew my dad.
And so that formed the base of the repair.
Of the repair.
And then the Bondo went on. But I don't think he used the hardener.
Because it was still jelly.
It smelled like fresh Bondo.
So just to prove,
It was so good.
just because I have to prove that it can be done and we live in the wrong country.
Oh, gosh.
Just because I have to prove that it can be done and we live in the wrong country. Your truck is a 3/4 ton.
Yeah.
This truck is a 1 ton.
Wow.
Which truck would you rather drive?
Yeah, that one.
That one. Yeah, that one.
Looks like you got an automotive front end on it.
That's the idea. Because if you don't need a truck bed, if you don't need a truck that you need a ladder to get in and out of because you're
like to
stupid,
sit up on.
Yeah.
That's the thing. There
I
you
like
go.
to have the space.
I mean, dude.
That's the commanding. You want the commanding view of the road that says.
I sat in it,
Right.
and like when I drove it down the driveway, it had no brakes because I have to fix the brakes, so I was careful. But I was driving it, dude. I felt so awesome being up there. I instantly, out of nowhere, this pack of chewing tobacco formed in my lip.
Would say that was compensating for other shortnesses that you may have had in your life?
Well, I've had a small dick for fucking 51 years, so yeah, it's finally nice to feel, like I got some power or something.
Yeah, and I think that's the feeling every soccer mom ever had.
Right.
The first time she got into a Ford Explorer.
Tahoe.
A Tahoe, exactly.
And I have to be honest, man. I got out of the cab and I started to rethink my politics. Like it was crazy.
And you looked, you opened up the glove box and there was a red hat in there.
It's really going to be good for you.
I do too. Think of all the fun stuff we can pick up in it.
Hey!
I mean, when you have a pickup truck, when you're out junker necking,
Oh, yeah.
it's so fun.
Yeah.
How many flags do you think it'll hold?
At least 3. At least 3 big ones.
That's more drag.
That looks like an
I don't
8
know.
flag
You don't
truck.
want to cut down on your fuel mileage.
That looks like an 8 flag truck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're going to do that, you could just troll.
Oh yeah.
You could just troll.
the whole
You
point.
could just troll. Yeah, you could just troll. Yeah,
I want to get that step on me daddy flag. The snakes in bondage. That's going to be the one to fly. Just confuse people.
Yeah, there's absolutely no, in my opinion, there's absolutely no reason in the world why pickup trucks need to be so high that I can't load shit into them.
Right.
I would skip flying a Joe Biden flag and just go straight for the Obama. Yeah.
I don't like any politician.
But again, though, I do like the idea of the Obama tribute flag because
yeah.
that's pretty
People
good.
do.
Because if you're going to fly Trump flag, which was the 2020, the 2020 election, then by all means.
Ooh, no, you'll have to fly a Hillary flag.
Oh, I couldn't do that.
Do it.
I can't even do that.
Oh man,
I can't do that. But I would
Go to
fly.
James A. Garfield.
didn't he want to lock her up for some emails?
Yeah.
Oh, that really looks trivial in the rearview mirror,
It
doesn't
would
it?
be pretty good to say thanks, Obama, and have that just flying back there the whole time.
So,
If you're trying to trigger people.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Game on. But that, today I had to load a motorcycle into the back of a pickup truck, right? And if you worked here for 2 weeks, you would change your outlook on pickup trucks.
Yeah.
The dude brought probably a 96 Ranger that was cherry. I mean, this thing was so pretty. It was perfectly maintained. And I mean, it was one of those silver ones with the red and the burgundy interior.
Oh, yeah.
And it was extended cab, or as much as you could get an extended cab in a 96 Ranger. And it was 4-wheel drive.
Nice.
But it still had a tailgate that if you open the tailgate, you could sit on it without a booster seat. You could just walk up to this truck and just plop your ass right down on the tailgate and have a beer and enjoy life. Because it was the height a truck should be, even a 4-wheel drive truck. And when I had to load this guy's motorcycle up into the back of it, I didn't need 2 ramps, one for me and one for the bike, because it was at a reasonable altitude to planet Earth. So I was able to just put the 1 ramp in the back of the truck and roll the bike right up in there and make that nice big step into the back of the tailgate and jump right up in the bed of the truck with it and tie it in. And I jumped out of the back of the truck without a parachute. It was cool. It was no problem whatsoever. Yet I have people show up here in these fashionable trucks that left the factory with a 6-inch lift kit. I checked. On a 2-wheel drive truck that should not, for any reason whatsoever, be, running 36s.
Well, did you see? Somebody just posted something, a little video clip.
Yeah.
Somewhere in Oklahoma or somewhere like that, they had a big truck gathering, and all the bro dozers came out with their 36-inch wheels, but there's only 2 inches of rubber. It's the big bro dozer
Band-Aids,
looking wheels.
yeah, right, yeah.
And so they all, whatever event was going on, all these dudes parked in a field.
Yeah.
And then it rained.
Oh, no.
And so they were like, look at all the highway princesses stuff. So all these trucks are just like,
Yeah.
and nobody's going anywhere.
Nobody's
It's
going
all
anywhere.
these giant trucks.
And then a guy showed up with a Suzuki Samurai
Yeah, and pulled everybody
with mutters on it and pulled everyone out without ever getting out of his truck.
Right.
Yeah, that's the right way to do it. Yeah. If you worked here for a week or 2 weeks and you loaded up bikes in the back of trucks, you would completely change your outlook. And you'd also understand why it wouldn't be a bad idea to have a truck, with a nice 8-foot bed on it
And a trailer.
and just be able to pull up and hit a button and just drop the S end of the truck out and straight up be able to load without a ramp.
I like the trailer. I never want to put a bike in it. Even if I had a truck, I'd still want
You'd
to.
still
I'm
do
definitely.
trailer all
Oh
the
yeah,
time.
100%.
Yep.
Yeah. There's no reason to.
I'm more of a
you have the
volume.
reason because you got to put.
I was going to say I'm a volume sales kind of guy.
Two in the front, 3
Oh
in the rear.
yeah,
And
I was
The old
I pulled-
minivan?
dude. I pulled a 5-bike run yesterday, 3 in the bed,
Nice.
3 in the bed of the truck, and 2 on the trailer. Wow. And that's some shit. Like you've chosen these bikes wisely.
Yeah.
So when you've got 3 in the bed of the truck and 2 on the trailer, you're maximizing your work to time ratio.
Sure.
And again, that's another thing. I was like, man, the perfect truck for me would be a truck that I could pull up in front of your house, hit the button, it drops the ass end out, and I'm going to load up to 5 or 6 bikes in the bed of one vehicle.
Well, that's what I was. So when you're getting
You
all.
need to cut the top off a van.
Well, no, but I was thinking you have all these hearses, right?
Right? Yeah.
So they're already cut out and
It's
everything.
just an El Camino, dude. Yeah, I mean,
That's
it's
what I'm
that's
saying.
fine, but that's still one motorcycle, 2 motorcycles
Really?
on its best
Yeah.
day.
Okay.
No, why not?
Yeah. The trick is, there are some funny, weird European vehicles that are front wheel drive. It's a van, but it's front wheel drive, so it's real short nose.
Right.
And then the whole back of it is just flat.
Yeah.
And because it is not rear wheel drive, the rear axle is just a tag axle.
Right.
And so it's low. It's lower than a Badger's Badger. Yeah. Like it's right on the deck. And when I look at some of those European vehicles, I'm like, shit, I could load bikes sideways. I could pull up in front of your house and load onto the, steps, or what do they call those? The Corvair Greenbrier had a side loading ramp. Yep. And that, I can't think of the term that they used to market it, but it was like a slope side or a ramp side. It was a ramp side truck.
Not a fleet side.
No, not a fleet side. It's a ramp side. And so the ramp side would be the way to go. I would do, because I would just have wheel chocks, and I could do 6 bikes loaded right up on there, be front wheel drive, and go do my thing. But nobody in this country does something like that.
You could also just buy a flatbed from one of those companies and just cut a van and put the flatbed behind the front seats.
Yeah. But the real problem is those flatbeds all end up being dock height. Wow. And so if you've ever fallen off of a truck while loading a motorcycle, you'll realize that getting it lower to the ground is awesome. Because at no point is this vehicle ever going to go off-road.
Right.
So it needs to be able to get in and out of a driveway.
That's it.
And that's it. Yeah.
Makes sense.
So
You want like a 2-wheel drive pickup truck that's already fairly low.
the Tacoma was fucking great.
Maybe lower it some more.
Yeah.
And
No,
then
that
just
was
have a
the-
big, then
yeah.
just a big flatbed
Yeah.
with wheel chocks on
Yep.
it.
The
Take bed
Tundra-
off completely.
Yeah.
And you could get that much lower if you just had a.
Yeah. The 08 Tundra, I took 5 inches out of the back of that truck. So because they came from the factory stanced out. So it came from the factory with a little bit of, the back end was jacked up a little bit. Again, 2-wheel drive truck with a V6. You're not fooling anybody. You don't need the tailgate to be 4.5 feet in the fucking air. So I took 5 inches out of the back and 3 inches out of the front, which made it perfectly level. And it made it perfectly level. And then by putting Bilsteins in it, we could still go over bumps and stuff and not punish our suspension. Right. And we could still put 3/4 of a ton in the back of it without it being a problem. So we had tons of road trips. We put 2 motorcycles in the back of that thing and go rock out and wouldn't have a problem and pull a trailer. And it looked silly because it's slammed on the ground, so to speak. But man, loading bikes in and out of that thing was a dream. But yeah, the access, like not having the sides on the pickup truck so you could get in good tie down points and everything. Luxury. Yeah, so it is a funny thing when you load and unload a ton of motorcycles and what works for you.
Flatbed, but you want a rail on one side.
Yeah, exactly.
So whatever
That's exactly right.
whatever happened to the Cybertruck? Wasn't that going to be the deal?
Well, again,
It's coming. It's coming.
yeah, it's had a lifetime supply of Prolong.
yeah.
Yeah, it's coming, but not yet. That's it. Yeah, I don't know when that truck's going to happen. Honestly, I deal with all the guys across the street who are going to the Ford dealership. And now that Ford has said that their electric platform vehicles are going to be direct to consumer and they're cutting the dealers out of the network, they're cutting the dealers out of the equation, One, as a guy who runs a dealership right now, I can tell you that's not a bad idea. You can hate me if you like, but I run a dealership for 22 years. I can tell you this is a shell game. This is a scam. This whole thing is a multi-level marketing scheme of the highest order.
Speaking of coming, 2 men broke into a drugstore and stole all the Viagra. The police put out an alert to be on the lookout for 2 hardened criminals.
Yeah, go ahead.
Who's the most popular guy at the nudist colony? The one who can carry a cup of coffee in each hand and a dozen donuts.
Hey! God, these are old jokes. My God, these are old jokes.
Chris didn't bring anything. He didn't print the internet.
That's fine. They're better than nothing, and that's absolutely right. I completely agree. So next month, among the many things that are happening, Oscar and I are going to America's largest Hearse festival, and could not be happier about it. Very much looking forward to it. And if you happen to be a Hearse enthusiast,
I'm a William Randolph.
I know a guy who's married to one of his daughters. Yep. Wow. Yeah. Married into the Hearst fortune. Yeah. How's that for doing all right? Honey, you're beautiful. I love you. You have a great personality. You're so cool. That's great. We should go off and hang out and do cool shit together. That's great. What's your last name? Is it Hearst? That's hilarious.
Why did the sperm cross the road? Because I put on the wrong sock this morning.
I like that one.
When I worked many years ago, when I worked at this recording studio, it was called Mannequin Odd in Aurora, and the owner was an old kind of scummy punk rock dude from Kent State.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, man, how did he get this? It was like a $10 million recording studio. You know, I was like, that's
fair
kind
enough.
of crazy.
Yeah.
Then I went to his house one day, and it was like a $5 million house.
Right on.
And then I saw his wife, and she was less than attractive, and he was a fairly attractive guy.
Oh.
And so
Okay.
I started asking around, and I was working there, and I started asking some of the guys that had been working with him for a while. I'm like, what's the story here? And he's like, well, the story supposedly is he fell in love with this girl, and they dated for a while, and then he found out and was very concerned the fact that her parents own Stone Ridge Enterprises, who make all the wiring harnesses for BMW, Komatsu, and and other things. And so, he was a little worried about it was going to put a cramp, but he asked her to marry her anyway. So
okay. Well, that's nice.
their wedding present was $82 million.
Damn.
Oh my God.
So this dude was
Oh,
like,
my God.
A little pressure.
yeah. He was like this weird punk rock dude from Kent that really was into. He always wanted to be in
Money?
bands. So but he would literally hire the people to come in and play in his band. But he also he had runes in his, so he made his house look like a castle.
Yeah.
And then he built runes, like there was another building in his backyard that had been torn down so that it had a Gothic appeal.
So he had the grounds, he had
Yes.
the master house, and he
Yes.
had the ruins.
Yes.
Yeah. My grandparents were in Volant, Pennsylvania, which if you've ever been there, you know is nowhere.
Would he have a Honda rune too?
You could have a Honda rune
In the ruins.
in the ruins.
Yeah.
You should park your rune in the ruins.
Yes.
But when I was a little kid growing up, my grandmother would refer to, well, and this is Pennsylvania, so she'd be like, well, why don't somebody just go up there to the estate, and we'll go up to the estate and see if somebody left it up there, because I think we left a batch of them up at the estate. And I was like, wow, they have 150 acres of property and they have an estate. And now to a 10-year-old, you got to see this estate.
Yeah.
I need to see the estate. And I'm like, and we're there shooting and having a good time and doing all the things you do. And so 10 years old, I'm going to go find the estate. And so I'm all over this property. And I come back after hours and there's no estate to be found. Right. And I asked my dad, I'm like, where's the estate? Where's the estate? He goes, well, it's the old house. What old house? What's their old house? There's no old house. There's no old house. There's a foundation of a house. It's worse than what's at Steve's property by far. Like there's no roof on it. Yeah. But they've been calling it the estate. And they have things in the basement that they still routinely go in and get out of the basement in the estate.
Oh my God.
And they're like, and I was just like, oh, I thought they had money. They don't have money. Yeah. As a 10-year-old, I knew my dreams were dashed.
Probably had some good moonshine.
This is the overhead shot from last year's the pre-COVID Hearse around. So all those cars are all Hearses. And if you look over here, this little tiny weird one over there, that's the Japanese ornate Hearse that I brought with me that year. So this is the Fowlerville Fairgrounds and their event called Just Hearsing Around.
So what's the vibe like?
Pretty fucking good, man.
Like,
so do you like goths?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you like creepy dead stuff in jars?
Sure.
Okay. Do you like taxidermy in all of its forms? Do you like taking a regular toy and mutating it and making it into something creepy and fun?
Sure.
Okay.
So that's the vibe.
That's all.
So if you like all that, do you like rockabilly music infused with goth, aka psychobilly?
Of course.
Well, then you're going to be very, very happy.
Really?
Would you like to eat pulled pork and brisket out of a device called the cascateria?
Probably not, but that's fine.
It's really good. Yeah.
Brisket out of your ass.
Out of the ascateria? Yes. But they have the cascateria, which is a number of caskets that are converted into roasters.
How many people that attend this already have Halloween decorations up?
Oh, game on.
All of them.
In fact, if you go to your Home Depot and can't find a 12-foot tall skeleton,
Yeah.
it's because these people have a network to buy them.
Yeah.
They will drive 300 miles to go buy the 12-foot tall skeleton from your Home Depot for $300.
Oh, yeah, they did.
But it is so fun. And everything is from, Ghostbusters cars and silly stuff like that to hearses that are like straight up 1,100 horsepower shooting flames and shit to like perfect exotic, like perfect 1959 Cadillac Eldorado hearses
So
and shit.
how are yours accepted?
Quite well, in fact. They've added a certain line to the flyer this year that is in kanji. It's in Japanese. So to welcome Japanese hearses, they've now made me very happy by putting a line on the flyer that is in kanji. So I thought that was really fucking funny. But it is fun, and you'll get to see just the vanity license plates are the best. You could just go there and have fun looking at vanity license plates and like last responder and all kinds of obvious stuff that's
6 feet under.
6 feet under, right? It never stops being funny. It's just fucking great. So this is the flyer for this year's event, and you'll see that there's the kanji up here right above the Hearse Fest. So I thought that was pretty nice of them too, and send me a little on the poster. There's just a little gag in there that only one guy gets.
Yeah.
But I thought that was pretty cool.
Hey,
so
Phil, are you coming? Because we made a little thing for you.
yeah, exactly. It's like, I wonder if the guy with the weird Japanese hearse is going to come back. And what they don't know is I'm coming back. But I'm bringing a bigger hearse.
Yeah.
And I'm bringing more of them.
Yeah.
So, and then what we're going to do is we're going to make this thing really fun because we're going to go out Friday night and then sneak off from Fowlerville. And we're going to do a 1.5 hour road trip to Grand Rapids and go to what, in my opinion, is probably America's greatest tiki bar. And so we're going to go to
Porco?
Max's South Seas Hideaway. It's got a whole boat in it. So, yeah. And you'd like that because all the booze in that bar tastes better.
It has to be. You know that.
Fucking seasoned.
Yeah. That is absolutely true. The bars, plural, at this place are fucking great.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So we had a whole discussion that turned into insanity.
Yes.
Talking about all the games that take place at band camp.
Yes.
Are there any games that take place at Just Hearsing Around?
There are not games, but there are very interesting auctions and there's a lot of like exchange of goods and
Does anybody
and
bring
currency.
like a corpse or a fake corpse? Or
No. There's plenty of fake corpses. Don't get me wrong. There's a shit ton.
Caskets everywhere.
There are more than one go-kart casket go-karts.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah, and that's fun. And a really creepy guy driving it around. It is a very good place, but like we figured out, gothic, creepy gothy stuff is very strange when it's like 87 degrees in direct sunlight.
Yeah.
It is not compatible. So I have
makeup's melting.
I have purchased a couple of umbrellas.
I see that.
So we've got a couple of interesting umbrellas so that if it is hot and fucking miserable, we can still be like.
And what is going to be your and Oscar's attire?
Well, I have a black jacket that is like the adamant, like
I've seen
like
that.
your Hearse driver's jacket.
Yeah.
And and on the back it says Godzilla Response Team in Japanese. But Oscar seems to be the right size for the life-size Godzilla suit.
Yeah, I can
The
probably support
inflatable
that.
Godzilla suit might be the right size for
Air
Oscar.
conditioned.
It is
Yeah,
air
it is.
conditioned too. Yeah.
It is. I can totally rock that.
I think we might have to rock the Godzilla suit maybe every couple of hours. I was thinking about getting a King Kong suit too. And we could
There you
chase
go.
each other around a little bit. Yeah, that might be fun. So anyway, so I think we're going to take 2, maybe we'll take 3 hearses. We'll see what happens. Yeah.
What was the big turtle? With the turtle with the flame?
Gamora?
Gamora.
Yeah, Gamora.
wanna be that
Gamora.
guy.
Yeah.
Mothra and
Mothra,
fucking
Gamora,
Mecha-
Rodan.
Rodan.
Right. Yeah. So, I love that shit growing up.
Yeah, me too.
And you know what's funny? is
Gatsuki can suck a dick.
what's that?
Gatsuki can suck a dick.
Gatsuki can.
Oh, the little fucker. Yeah.
Gatsuki. That was so fucking
Yeah, that was
lame.
dumb.
And you know what? Not since Scooby Doo.
Oh, Scrappy Doo.
Not since Scrappy Doo
Shit.
Yeah, something ruined.
Sucks ass.
and some Ewoks
Yeah.
has it been so obviously just fucking garbage.
Who was the only
bad.
other guy that's probably worse than him was the Misa guy. Remember?
Jar Jar.
Yeah,
Jar
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 Jar.
Binks
don't
is-
talk about Jar Jar.
It doesn't exist.
We don't
It's not
talk
canon.
about Jar Jar.
Talk about Jar Jar.
shit.
No, fuck that shit. Fuck that shit. All right. Anybody got anything else?
Oh, fucking
Astro Man.
Astro Man.
Astro Man.
Ultraman,
Man.
yeah.
Yeah. Ultraman. Yeah.
what was
Astro
it?
Boy and
Ching,
Ultraman.
Astro Boy's the other one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ultraman and Astro Boy.
Yo, during-
Monsters, fuck you.
Listen, during that period, there was a movie that disturbed the fuck out of me. Like this, it was something to do with the flying turtle. It was one of the flying turtle movies.
Okay.
But this girl and this guy were kind of like they were younger kids, and they were
Yeah.
kind of forming a bond.
Yeah.
The girl runs, and then somebody smashes her head with a fucking rock. And I just remember being so sad.
That
I
was it.
I was watching this monster movie, and this girl gets killed, and I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Nice.
Wasn't
Yeah.
that Johnny Sacco or something? Was the name
No,
of it?
Johnny Sacco is another one.
But he looks like that.
Different. Yeah.
Okay.
Right. But yeah, that's
We're
all
all the
that
same,
right era and the right stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, it's fucking cool. Yeah, that's badass. All right. So are we guys done with this podcast? I think we're done with this podcast.
Hey, man.
2 hours.
2 hours on the money? Yeah,
2 hours
I approve of all
high
that.
quality H2O.
Look, I had to describe the podcast to somebody the other day because I was a little scared that they might listen to it. And you got to understand, guys, sometimes people come in here and they don't know what's going on. And then in their search for more information about the person they're about to give $10,000 to, they will type Cleveland Moto into the old Googler, and they'll hit enter, or they'll hit search, and they'll inevitably find the fucking podcast. And I always kind of have a little thing like, so you heard the podcast. That's great. Oh, that's so cool. I'm sorry. And I just give that, apology. And then usually what comes down is like, no, it was all right. It was okay. It was great. It was cool.
I can back this up.
And here's the thing is, I know when I'm being fucking pandered to, okay? I'm 53 fucking years old. I've been divergent my entire life. You don't need to piss down my back and tell me it's raining.
Right.
If you were offended, just say you were offended. If you say that you were that one listener that we had for one moment and we're never going to have that person back again, I totally fucking get it. I'm going to expect you don't have 2 hours of your fucking week to listen to this garbage when there are literally 93 million podcasts.
Dude, I got an email from my big boss that I've never talked to before.
Yeah.
That said, podcast, like to talk to you. And I was like, oh, no.
Oh my God.
I was like, oh, God, what's going to happen? He's like, hey, man, we're thinking about really juicing up our podcast. And I listened to a couple episodes, and you guys really, it sounds great. The way you guys talk and don't step on each other. And I'm like, so I'm thinking like, okay, so you didn't really listen to the content.
No.
I was just like, but I walked into that meeting like, well, it was a good run.
I'd like to talk to you about animal husbandry, as long as it's not the podcast. Fucking great, man. It is a thing, and it's a very funny thing when that happens, and it's respectable people, or when my wife goes into her job and somebody says something like, "Oh, we heard, we didn't know that you're." That's the setup. The primer is this: we didn't know your husband had a podcast.
Oh, geez.
Shit. Yeah.
Ouch. And we leave this shit set up. So if you come into the showroom, you come into the shop, you see this rig, and you see this rig, and people that are bike curious, they see this and they're like, "You guys,
What's up with that?" Yeah.
What do you? We do a radio show." And then you're like, "Oh yeah, we do a podcast and whatever." And then they're like, "Well, what's it about?" I don't know. What do you fucking think it's about? What do you think?
Crocheting.
And I will go back to my standard standby. Decoy ducks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Decoy ducks. Yeah. If you
World's-
ever want to perplex somebody, just tell them straight up that you're just super deep and heavy into decoy ducks.
150,000 downloads a week about decoy ducks.
About decoy fucking ducks. And it is the funniest thing in the world. But again, it is not necessarily a motorcycle podcast.
No.
It's not. It's more of just a free form kind of thing. That's it. Anybody got nothing else? Good. Let's get the fuck out of here. Ride fast and take chances.
Bum, 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 bum,
What the fuck is that? Press the red button. Press the goddamn red button. Get us out of here, Steve. I guess
Take chances. Ride fast, take chances. Ride fast, take chances. Ride fast, take chances. Ride fast, take